But yeah, no, Call of Duty. So with the menus, didn't they do it where it's like all one hub now? Like it's all coming from one big hub, or did they change that? Because I remember because of Warzone, that's what they were doing.
Yeah, it's just like the second you open it, it's all the different options for the different game modes. Then there's like the battle pass, and you can like buy this. But then I think some of them have like where you can buy the other versions of Call of Duty within. It's just like, I just want to play the game. I'm a Modern Warfare 2 person. That was like the best one.
Yeah.
Kept it simple. Maps were great.
They know that.
Yeah.
They know that. Like, that's the reason that they did like Modern Warfare Remaster and the Modern Warfare 2 Remaster. They know that everybody really likes what Call of Duty used to be. What's kind of what I was getting at is like, Call of Duty has become this thing where if you have a community surrounding it, you got a couple friends who like you play Call of Duty after work. That's how you hang out with this guy who like you grew up with him, but now you guys live like cities apart, but you always play Call of Duty together. The people who make Call of Duty, that's what they're like preying upon.
Exactly.
And they just make you buy the game every year, and it's the same game every year.
I'm so sick of battle passes and just microtransactions for everything.
When everything became battle royales too, like that, it's like it's all the same. Like it's all the same business model. It's all the same thing. Like I'm buying everything's cosmetics. Like you're buying cosmetics. With Call of Duty 2, another thing that game becomes now. I don't know if it was always this, but it's like it's all about builds and it's all about knowing which gun is good right now, not just in the game, but like in this current update of the game before they nerf the other weapons. You need to know that you need to be using this gun because everybody's going to use this gun and they're just going to be overpowered and kill everybody else. So unless you use that gun, you're going to suck.
Yeah, because there's the people that just spend all the money right away. Yeah, just to get their build up and get all the cool skins. And
bruh, it's just crazy because Call of Duty used to be cool. Like with Modern Warfare 2 and like Modern Warfare, like those games were like they had a good story. Like that's what a lot of people remembered was the story mode. But also it was like it was a fun online experience that wasn't like all this extra stuff that it is now. Maybe it was like maps. I think back then it was just you get DLC maps and that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, bruh. Just mystery boxes alone. Like just the whole like mystery box thing. I'm trying to remember when they introduced that. Because it was not I think it's all right around like the battle royale. Like, dude, I think Fortnite just killed everything.
Yeah, I think Fortnite really influenced the game market heavily. But you know what? Yeah, they figured it out. So I've spent a lot of money on Fortnite. Not a lot, but a decent amount.
I don't blame you. Fortnite's fun though. I never played it when it stopped being like building, or when I never played the no build thing.
Oh, I like no build. I'm not good at it, so I don't want to sit there and have to like shoot through your shit. I only miss like being able to like build to get on like to a surface, but it's not worth it.
No, because the sweats.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not that good. Yeah,
I just like the way if you watch someone who's good at Fortnite, they're like building a house around them.
I know. Yeah, not a chance can I do that. I'm like, here, wait, like, and then they're like shooting while they're doing. I can't do any of that. So
it's crazy. Yeah, like just the fact that they're multitasking like that, and I think like. Are you playing with a controller?
Yeah.
See, even that, I think like the general thing is like to do mouse and keyboard if you want to build fast.
That's
right?
Not for me. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm definitely a console player.
For sweats.
Yeah.
It's made for those guys.
Yeah.
And like you can't blame them, but I think that's why no build came around because there's so many of these console players who are like, dude, this is not even.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never really played it though, so it is good. Okay. I see. People have said things to me, and I know how I am with video games. That's the other thing. Like if I play something, I'll play it too much.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can fall back into Fortnite right now.
Well, even with Fortnite, like, it's fun to like play a match or two, kind of just be mindless. But even with that, they've introduced so many different. There's like a Lego Fortnite mode. There's like a Rocket League Fortnite mode. There's so I'm like, I don't care to learn any of these or figure that out. I just want to play.
Didn't they do like some like creative mode thing where you can build your own?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when that was announced and they were trying to sell it like this is you can make any game in Fortnite. You can make anything in Fortnite. You can turn Fortnite into all these other things. So that's I didn't know they do Lego Fortnite. But I think I saw that, but I thought it was like a single time thing. You can still play it.
You can still play it. Yeah, it's still like one of the options. I tried it for a second. I think you could build stuff, and I was just like, if I want to play a Lego game, I'm going to play a Lego game. Like, don't get me wrong, those are good too, but I don't, again, it was just too overwhelming. I don't have time to like sit there and like learn games. I want to if I'm going to play a game and like dedicate some time, it's going to be a good game that's really capturing my interest.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way now. I'm scared because were you ever a fan of the see, I feel like the whole gaming industry is just so different than it used to be. So like a couple games that were always good were Grand Theft Auto, always good.
Always good.
And also the Fallout games were
such a good series.
Always good. Like the earlier ones were really, really, really good. And then also Elder Scrolls, always good. And I feel like now, was it StarCraft? I think. I can't remember the name. Starfield.
It was just okay. I couldn't get into that one. And
a lot of people felt that way.
Yeah. I love space. I love Bethesda. I was like, this is made for me. And I just it just was okay. I played maybe 10 hours, if that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I haven't picked it up since. I keep telling myself I will. Now Avowed came out. That's pretty similar to Skyrim. And that one's actually pretty good. I've been playing that.
What's it called?
Avowed.
Okay.
I think it might be an Xbox exclusive. I'm not sure because I don't think they're doing exclusives anymore.
Right, because it's really.
Yeah, I think there's big talk of them like not having. Yeah, they're just going to kind of release everything. I feel like I should be in the knowledge, like in the know, because I used to work for GameStop for like 6-7 years. So I used to be like so up to date, and now I feel like ashamed of myself when I don't know something about the video game industry. I'm like, oh.
I mean, it's almost better. Like, if you're not at GameStop, you don't need to know anything.
Yeah, I don't. But I'm like, I just should. I should. It's just in my heart.
It's built into you. Yeah. I mean, like, it's a fun thing to watch, especially with, like, okay, so with the gaming industry then, if you know so much about it, would you agree that it seems as if every single gaming company is kind of becoming a company that releases things that are not finished? Like, that's just every company's doing that now. It's not like some companies do it. It's like every company, like even CD Projekt Red did that. Like companies that are big companies that you think can't flop, right? Cyberpunk 2077 is supposed to be the best game of all time. Yeah. And then it comes out and everybody's like, dude, what is this? And then 3 years later, people are saying, oh no, it's good now. Yeah. It's not how games are supposed to work. Yeah. And that's how everything has become, it seems like.
Pushing it. Yeah. There's always got to be like some patch that's coming out. Like there's always something where it's, an issue. It is disappointing. And I'm sad that like the majority of gaming is going away from like physical copies of discs and everything's downloaded now. Like,
well, as soon as they sold a console without a disc tray, that really just hammers that in.
That's the one that I have at home, is the one without the disc tray. I'm like, it's good to have. Yeah, I want to have an actual like, game collection. It's fun to have the discs. And I don't know if it's the same for Sony, but with Microsoft, like with the terms, like technically they could take away the games that you've bought and downloaded at any point. Like you don't own the games.
Well, it's like streaming services. Yeah. It's the same thing. Like if they wanted to stop hosting the games even. Like say they just can't host the game anymore for whatever reason, it has to get taken down. It's not your game. You don't have the game. Yeah. It's the same thing with movies, really. It's like that's why you want physical movies or like even physical albums, like all these things. Like vinyl. That's why vinyl's cool for a lot of reasons, because it's real. It's right there.
Vinyls are cool.
It's just crazy. It's crazy that people don't really want it, you know? People like even one thing about like 4K, at least with movies, is like if you have a physical copy, that's always better than streaming. It actually looks better. Yeah. Like it will look better because of the way the compression works. So there is that. I'm sure music's probably the same. I'm sure all the music you hear on streaming probably isn't the same as the music you'd hear, at least on a vinyl for sure. Yeah, for sure. Vinyl have their own, they got their own shape. They got their own, I was trying to think of a cute word to call a vinyl. They got their own pizzazz. Yes. Yeah, pizzazz. That's a good one. But yeah, so it's just sad. It's sad that people don't want the games on discs. And even just like the cover art, like, even that. You know, like video games had like cover art, and like all the Rockstar games, they would have the map on the inside.
Yep, the manuals,
stuff like that. That's cool.
Even like physical copies now, they don't really have manuals anymore, and they're not exciting. Yeah, it's just not the same.
I have like, because the maps also doubled as posters. Like I had like Grand Theft Auto maps on my wall.
Yeah, I feel like every boy in like the early 2000s had like San Andreas on their wall. Like that was like that and like the one poster with like all the girls' butt cracks. You remember that one with Pink Floyd, I think? I feel like every guy had that. It was from Spencer's.
I don't know if I've seen that one. All the butt cracks?
Yeah, it's like I think it's all the Pink Floyd albums or something. I don't know, like 3 of my family members had it. I feel like every house I went to,
every house must have had it. I must have somehow missed this.
I should buy that. Yeah. Sick poster to have.
Yeah. A sick poster from a sick band. I mean, Pink Floyd making iconic stuff all the way back then that was in a bunch of boys' rooms. That's kind of mind-blowing that one group could change all these people's lives just from their creativity, and I think we're all capable of that. I think we can all change people's lives with our creativity. We can all blow minds and do mind-blowing things and put butt cracks on walls. That's right. That's why this world is so awesome. That's why this world is so beautiful, is that we all have that capability. That's why I love doing this show, is because I love highlighting how everybody's got that capability in some way, shape, or form. It's different for you. It's different for whoever you are, the way that you blow minds. But if you do it enough times, you blow enough minds, you do enough iconic things that stick in history, like said butt cracks, then eventually you become a professional mind blower. That's right. You can become a professional at that. And if you want to get yourself in the mindset of the professional mind blower, you go ahead and you get one of these t-shirts, which we are selling. Professional mind blower merch, boys and girls. We got smalls, mediums, and larges, and we can make more sizes if you so please. It's a great way for you to support the show. It's a great conversation starter. It's a great way for you to let the people know and let yourself know what you are. Go blow some minds, okay? $25, shipping included. Now, say you want to support this show, but you don't want to get a professional mind blower t-shirt. Well, don't worry. I got you covered. It's this thing we call Patreon. $5 a month, the price of a coffee, the price of a beer at the bar, and you keep the show on the road. I love doing this. As I said, I love bringing people in and showing how each of us are so unique, how each of us blow minds in our own way, and I want to do an episode every 3 days. That's what we've been doing. The only way that's possible is with mind-numbing work over here on my end. I am grinding, folks. So if you want to let me know that you love what I'm doing, you want to have me get some help, maybe I get an assistant or two, a couple people to click some buttons for me, which I would really like. The only way I could afford that is through your support. So please, please, please consider it. Enough of you do it. 400 people do it, and that's enough money to fund this show. I can quit my day job and make this my day job, and that's really the dream. I really love running this. I love bringing people in. I love highlighting people. So seriously, help me to do that. Help me to put people on. Put me on so I can put others on, and I promise you, you will not regret it. For real. Also on the Patreon, I should say, exclusive content. My music comes out there early. We've got songs on there that will only exist on the Patreon, and you also get some exclusive podcast content. So seriously, it's an offer you can't refuse. Straight from the Godfather's mouth. He was actually talking about Ruse Radio. Now back to the conversation with the wonderful Big Al.
Do you ever put physical copies of your music out on anything, or is it just...
I'm a hypocrite, right? I say all of this and then I don't have physical copies, yeah.
Do you have the ability to?
Probably not. I mean, probably... realistically, I could develop the ability to. It probably wouldn't be that hard. It's probably you need to get something to burn the disc on, which is if you wanted to make discs, and I think that's just probably, you could plug it in with a USB most likely, and then you just burn the disc. I mean, that's what you did in the 90s.
Yeah.
You burnt discs.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's the same thing. Even with tape. I think if you wanted to record to a tape, I think it's essentially the same. I don't know, because most of the stuff I have to mix music on this computer over here would be software, not hardware. So it's I don't know how that works when it comes to converting that to a tape, but I would assume that it's just plugging in something with the USB and just doing it.
That'd be pretty sick if you had some CDs or tapes. That would be cool too.
Tapes would be cool.
Make it look all 90s and
a novelty type thing.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, there were some people. I'm from Flint, Michigan, and there were some musicians there who I remember they would do actual tapes. They would make tapes for their music, and it was cool that they did that. Yeah,
very cool.
It's just different. It's a cool way to release your stuff, and there probably is somebody who would buy it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Even just if you don't have the way to play it, still would look cool. You know.
How about doing a stand-up hour? Right. You do your hour and then you release it on tape.
On tape. Yeah. Just throwback for sure. I mean, comedians used to have tapes out there and stuff. I could.
Wow. I never even think about that.
Yeah.
Comedians had tapes they would pass out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day.
I'm always listening to podcasts and stuff. Joe Rogan will talk a lot about having dice Dice on tape and listen to that, or just,
I never thought about that. Well, I guess I never really like paid attention when he said that, because I never thought about on tape. Like, that is a long time ago. Andrew Dice Clay, when was he like fame, like at his peak, like the most popular?
80s. I don't know if it was, I think mid 80s, maybe late 80s. I don't know exactly when, but he was real popular. He was the first comedian to do Madison Square Garden, like sell that out, and so that was a big deal. Yeah, and then I think he flopped. I could be wrong, but I think he started to kind of flop because he went on a talk show and he got like emotional. And I think people were kind of like, like that was strange. And then I think he wasn't as popular. I could be just totally talking out of my ass, but that is a true thing that he got like emotional. I forget whose late night show, but
I wonder what he got emotional about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he is kind of playing a character.
Yeah.
That is what he's doing. So that's probably what happened. He probably slipped out of the character a little bit.
He's pretty funny. He still like makes videos all the time, like today.
With
like,
strangers.
Yeah, like, like, let's take a picture. And they're like, please no. Like, they have no idea who this guy is. And he's like, oh, you wanted a picture? Come on. Like,
yeah.
That makes me laugh.
I mean, it's good. It's quality dad humor, I feel like.
For sure.
I mean, like, if you're into, like, dad jokes and dad humor, I feel like he's right up your alley, you know? He's like a grandpa. He's like the dad humor evolved almost.
Totally.
Into
Yeah,
grandpa
I could see that.
humor.
Yeah.
I didn't get it at first. When I was first seeing him, I'm like, is this for real? I don't understand. And now that I get what's going on, it's a bit different. I'm sure if I saw him at his peak, I would understand better. That's why I asked. Because, like, I really needed to see him in the late 80s then. Is probably what I need to check out.
Real dirty in the 80s. That's, like, was his thing. He would do, like, nursery rhymes, but, like, a very dirty version. And just, like, so it's just, like, like, bitch, suck my cock. Oh, just people like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe he's saying that. So.
And in the late 80s, that was something that nobody was really doing with comedy, right? Yeah, so that would be, like, shocking. Who was the other comedian who, like, was really known for swearing a lot?
Sam Kinison,
but it's not him I'm thinking of. Like, they swore a lot in their special, and he was black, so it can't be Sam Kinison. Richard Pryor?
Yeah, he was.
Maybe. I'm not going to find it. I remember when I was, like, 10, I saw that, like, statistic in one book I read, like, and it was saying, like, this comedian swore the most in their special, and it was, like, in the 90s. But I don't know if it was... I wish I could remember. It's not going to come to me. But those guys we both mentioned, those guys both are like that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Pryor and Kinison were both like that. I mean, really, you need people like that to kind of shape comedy. Because I think, like, the best comedians are the people who kind of show you the art form of it. Just like any art form. Like, the best people are the ones who can show you what you can do with that.
Totally. And, confidence. Like, if you believe in what you're doing, a lot of people will buy it with you, so like a lot of those comedians, when like blue comedy was coming around, they didn't care that it wasn't popular. They were just going to do their shit, like, and you're gonna like, even like George Carlin, like, just kind of was setting the tone of not this like nice comedy anymore, and he got like arrested for doing comedy and stuff, and for things that he was saying. And so we do need it, to now. Today is such a different environment where you have dirty stand-up shows, you have clean stand-up shows, there's the different in between, there. But we needed those to start.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how there are so many different types of comedy too. Like, because there are still people who are successful that are nothing like those people we just mentioned as well. Like, it's not like you have to be any certain way.
No, you don't.
You know? It's I always say, like, comedy's interesting in that, like, it's a very open art form. Like, you could literally do anything, kind of.
Anything. Literally anything. Yeah.
Whereas, like, if I'm doing music, there's some type of, like, thing I have to do.
Yeah.
Like, there's still a skeleton that we have to fit within.
Yeah.
Like, comedy, it's literally like you're on stage with a microphone and you go.
And that's,
you can do anything with that.
I like that too, because a lot of it's like you want to cater to the audience. Obviously, if you're trying to be successful, you want to build, an act that's going to make the audiences laugh. But it's also kind of fun to have, like, jokes that are just kind of for yourself, in a sense. Like, I have jokes where I'll just say, like, kind of wild shit. Like, I have a joke that, and this is a true story. One time I convinced a boyfriend that, like, I was, like, into corn dogs, which is so funny. It's like when I was like 18. Well, Like he was just weird.
Just as like a personal practical joke. For
I
yourself?
was like so sick of him, and I don't know, like I like didn't want to like hurt him, so I like wouldn't break up with him, but I would just like fuck with him. I was so bored of him. So it was like an accident. We were like shopping in like Jewel one day, and I just like went past like the frozen corn dogs, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, like just like he was going like, babe, stop, like kind of laugh, but then I could tell he was getting upset, so that I just really went with it. And from then on, I would like we'd go grocery shopping, and I'd like sprint to the frozen. I was like, oh babe, stop, like so I've turned that into a joke where I say like, you know, girls, I know we've all been in this situation where you get so bored of your relationship. So what do? You convince your boyfriend you've got a corn dog fetish so that he'll get weirded out and dump you. And it never gets a reaction. So then I'll go, well, think about it. If you guys put it in frozen, you've got a warm snack for after. Like, and I like saying things that as if like you guys are the idiot, but I'm really the idiot. Like I love making myself the idiot, but I'm totally unaware. Yeah. Like, you know, I'll just, that's funny to me.
Yeah.
I don't care what you guys think about me. That's, you know, hilarious if you were to really think that that's what I'm into, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's that whole thing about like playing the idiot with comedy too, where you do kind of want to like be the dumbest one in the room, even if you're the smartest one in the room.
For sure.
So, yeah, I mean, like, I feel like that's so much easier said than done, though. Like, obviously, like playing the idiot is like there's an art form to it. Like, I think I always I mentioned him a million times in this room, but Norm Macdonald is like one of the best at playing the idiot.
Yeah,
like that's basically his whole thing. That's how he gets away with saying essentially anything.
Yeah,
but that's what it is. You can say pretty much anything if you play the idiot just right. Yeah, that's how you can do that.
Tone, delivery, for sure.
Yeah. Because there's so many things you couldn't say if you're trying to look smart.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work. You can't be the smartest person in the room and then say something about how, like, you know, you hate all the squirrels in your neighborhood and you hope they all, like, go into a wood chipper. But if you were playing the idiot, you could probably make that a joke somehow.
Yeah.
There's probably a way you could say, I would throw squirrels into a wood chipper, and everybody in the room's going to laugh.
Yeah.
I don't know what that way is. But someone smarter than me does. Someone dumber than me does.
You just gave someone the idea of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I know how.
They were already almost there, and then they heard me say that. They're like, wood chipper.
I've always wanted. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the joke. How do you end up into comedy? How does that happen? You know, that's always a fun question because it's always I feel like comedy is an interesting place to be. Like, how do you get there?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, it is interesting. Because I normally have like such anxiety. I don't want any attention like on me. So it's a different, it's just worth it to get that high. So I think I've just always kind of been a naturally funny person. And back in like, when I was like 19, 20, I kind of just happened to stumble upon like an open mic opportunity or like doing like a show just because someone was like, you're funny. I know a guy who runs shows. So I kind of had no idea what I was doing. And immediately started like booking shows, but I was underage. I couldn't go do open mics. I couldn't like practice. And I did that for maybe like a year and a half. And I kind of I was booking shows that were way too big that I should have been booking for what my ability was at that point and what my knowledge was of comedy. And I ended up just kind of dropping out of a show, and I just was like embarrassed, and I just never like looked back. Now I know 10 years later that show never even happened. It was supposed to be like Vivica Fox was coming to Waukegan for her 50th birthday. It was like a big deal. It was going to be like on TBS, like this ladies thing. The woman who was producing it was so pushy and just like wanted me to like sell tickets. She wanted me to sell, I think, like 200 tickets. And I seriously had like 10 friends. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Like, I'm going to promote, but no one's coming to the show. And so I ended up just like backing out. And now I've found out that like, no, Vivica Fox was never coming to Waukegan, Illinois, like for her 50th birthday. Like, so anyway,
the whole thing was made up.
Yeah. So that just kind of steered me away. I just was like, no one's ever going to talk to me or book me again, is how I felt. And then in 2023 in April, I was like driving past in Round Lake, and there was like a bar that just was advertising open mics. And I was like, and just stopped by there, went great, tried to do it. Actually, I did it at the Vixen while they were doing open mics. I went there on a night they happened to do open mic comedy. I did that just like off a whim. It went well, but then it was like a year later. Did you have
stuff like that you wrote down already? Did you plan for it?
Not at that point. This was in 2022. This was like totally random, and I just like I've always like kicked myself for giving up on stand up, feeling like I failed. So it's always been there wanting to do it. So I just went up with absolutely nothing, did well, and then I was like, I want to do that again. But it wasn't for another year that I found a place, Village Spirit Pub, and started going there. That's where I met John, Amy, like a bunch of people out that way, and haven't stopped since. So now this time I have a lot more knowledge. I can hit open mics. I can work on my material. I know what I'm doing, and it's a lot more fun and like a better experience as far as like growth and what I'm trying to do, which I don't know what my end goal is, you know?
Right.
I just know that I love comedy and I want to continue to do it. It obviously would be fun to make a living off of it, but you know, I'm realistic but I just go, things are looking up, things are continuing to move up for me, and that's all I can ask for is continuous progress. So
yeah. I mean, how often do you go to open mics and go to shows and all that then?
Open mics, typically I'll try to do like 1 or 2 a week. The past couple months it's not been as much because I still work, and I did like a temporary promotion this season, so work got pretty crazy. So I wasn't doing as many open mics, but then I have started booking a lot more shows. Like since maybe September of last year, I've been consistently like booking shows like 2 to 4 a month, just to kind of depending. So I'm still, which is the goal kind of, is to kind of be consistent with shows and not always having to rely on open mics. But that's where that's where you're working your muscles out. You need the open mic still. You need to kind of work out, test out material. So lately it's like 1 to 2 a month of open mics, but I'm starting to kind of get back into it now that work is settled down. And
yeah.
So
I mean, some people are, there's a balance to everything. Some people do, they say, I think Harold Patrick said he averages 2 a day.
Some people really do it. Yeah. Some people do a lot. And I give it up for those comedians. You know, it's hard to balance a life. You know, I've got a relationship, I've got a job, I've got, you know, a house to take care of. And honestly, I've got, like I said, such bad anxiety that sometimes I'm like, I can't leave the house. I don't want to do it. Like it'll be hard for me to get out there. And then once I'm there, I have fun. But sometimes it's just like, I can't do it this week because I just want to be home, which sucks because I'm like, I know I need to get out there. I know I need to be doing it more. And then I'll see comedians doing it like, you know, every night. I'm like, man, I freaking suck, because we all just, you know, kind of compare each other. But then, you know, just the name of the game. Well,
yeah, and that's why I say there's balance, because everybody's different. Like not everybody's the same when it comes to how much you might need. Like some people, if your goal is not to go to an open mic 7 million times a week, then don't.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that.
Exactly.
I mean, I think a lot of it is that comparison. It's like seeing other people doing it, and then you compare themselves.
Totally.
You compare you to them, and really, like, whatever you are is probably different than whatever they are anyways, you know? Like how many, if someone were to say, like, I'm giving you an hour, would you have a whole hour? Or, like, how many minutes do you think you'd have, like, solid minutes?
If I had to do, like, solid, probably 20-ish minutes. But, like, I have more material, but I, like, what I know would be solid and funny and what I believe in. Because I really want to deliver material that I also find funny, that I believe in. I don't want to just do, like, lame, cheap stuff just to fill. So I really kind of work on the same, like, 5 minutes, and then I'll kind of build another 5 minutes, and then another, you know, to kind of put them all together.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably a strong 20. I could do maybe 30, but, you know, there'd be not the best material maybe in some of it, you know, I'd say, but I could be wrong. If I really sat and looked at my material, I could have more than I think, you know.
Yeah.
Typically my spots that I've been doing lately are about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, which is kind of my sweet spot, because I know I can get all my good ones in there, but now I'm ready to kind of start working on some new material. I want to grow what my set is this year to do like 20 or 30, to have a confident where I can go, I could deliver this.
Do a lot of places do that, 20 or 30?
Oh, yeah.
I've seen, like, at least at the shows I've been to, it seems like I've seen a lot of, like, 15 minutes. So I wonder, like what where would you go where it's like 30 minutes, like a longer show, or a longer set?
It depends. Like, you know, typical shows will have, you know, like a guest, would it be like 5 to 7 minutes, will do like a short spot. You know, the host will do 10 minutes, and then, you know, they'll have like a feature does 10 to 20, and then headliners will do longer. So I just hosted a show last weekend. You know, I did 10 minutes. There was 2 people that did 15 and then 20, and then the headliner did 40. Light was at 45, and then she could just end where she wanted. So that's impressive to me, because I'm like, I don't have that much material, but B, just to have that memorized is really impressive. Someone that can stand up there for that long. And you see, you know, specials all the time, they're doing an hour. You know, it does happen, and, you know, you can build up to that, but it definitely takes time, you know.
Yeah, I mean, even having like 20 minutes is a decent amount of time, because an hour is a long time to talk.
Yeah.
It's not like you're doing nothing. You're talking for an hour by yourself on the stage, and you're trying to be entertaining the whole time.
And it can help too if you're good with like crowd work, which I'm not yet. That's like something that I also need to work on, because I can be quick in day-to-day conversations and witty, but like the second there's a microphone in my hand, all of a sudden that part of my brain is off. And like, someone could pass out on the stage and I'd be like, and my next joke, like, like I just don't know what to do. And I'm getting better at not freezing up so much, but I'm not a person to be like, so you guys look like a couple tonight, because I don't know what I'm going to say. I feel the pressure to be funny and have something prepared. And what if I'm not? And so there's only been a few times that I've had that flow state, but it's not too often yet.
I wonder how you'd get better at that. That's what I'm thinking. Like
repetition.
You think like just forcing yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would have been probably my answer would be like making yourself do it, and it's probably like exposure therapy.
Yeah, totally.
Like it's whatever you're most afraid of.
I'll try to do it if it's like a club or like a stage bar or whatever that I've been to a couple times that I feel like, okay, I kind of know you guys. I know, so it's
right.
Or if I know the comics and I feel like I have my friends there, but it's hard if I'm like, okay.
You could probably practice like easy tricks at open mics. Like there's a comedian I know who he'll ask like, is anybody in this audience in a relationship? Like who's in a relationship? And then, whoever's, in a relationship's going to raise their hand. Mm-hmm. And then he says, oh, okay. Like, I'm in a relationship too, any like, you guys, may I ask, like, are you guys having sex? And then they're going to answer. And then he says like, okay, like you have any like interesting sexual, can I watch? Do you have any interesting sexual interactions? And then when they say whatever they're going to say, and then he says his joke about an interesting sexual interaction that he had. So it's introducing the joke he's about to say, but it's also involving the audience, and you're always going to get something different from the audience. So I think like little tricks like that, you could probably practice at an open mic pretty easily. The problem is too, though, that comedians are going to try to be funny back. Mm-hmm. And so they're not going to do what a regular audience is going to do. Yeah. They're going to try to like, they'll probably one-up you. Yeah.
And I've heard that technique, just kind of having a joke that you're going to go into and set yourself up so it looks like...
natural,
So I feel like maybe I've tried that. I feel like I haven't thought of that technique recently, so that's reminding me.
I'm trying to think of other ways you could even... Because, I mean, obviously, like, where do you work? You see that one a lot. Like, oh, hi, like, what's your name? Mm-hmm. Where do you work? But then the problem is now you have to be fast. You have to come up with the joke on the spot.
Exactly, yeah.
The one I just said, you can at least get away with... You probably don't have to say much with that one. Yeah. You just rely on them for the most part. Like, if maybe, like, asking them about a crazy story in general. Usually if you ask somebody, you got any crazy stories... Maybe you get something good out of them. Like ask them about a crazy story. What else? How else could you work the people? Do you know any? Do you have any family members who owe you money? That's a fun question to ask somebody.
Yeah.
I feel like that one would probably always get a good answer.
Because then you know that they would borrow out money, and after the show, you're like, "Hey, I need like $10."
Keep them in mind, and like when everybody's leaving, like keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, pleasure talking to you a minute ago. By the way,
that was for research after the show.
And like as long as like, because in their mind, you're the famous comedian who is just on stage. So as long as you play it right, I feel like you could get them to give you money.
The confidence will sell it. Yeah.
Like I really think a lot of life is the confidence selling it.
For sure.
I think there's bad performers. There's like bad comedians. There's bad everything. But a lot of it's in their confidence. A lot of them are just more confident than the other people. And like they could be bad, but they're really confident in how bad they are. And so like the key is to just be... People are going to be mad either way. You just have to be confident. And you could be as bad as you could possibly be. They'll still like you if you're confident.
I do stand by that almost 100%, except for one time I was at an open mic, and I've never seen this comedian since. He very confidently went on stage, and his bit was picking his booger. and it was like a booger. Like this guy saved it all day or something. And then he like stared at it. And then he was like gonna eat it, and then he put it in his pocket for later. I'm like, that dude's probably gonna eat it. Like he had his parents there, like they were sitting in front of me, and like they were like really like gassing him up before like this older couple, and then he went up, and it was something, and I've never seen him again since.
It was performance art.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder what he did with that booger. But otherwise, confidence.
Yeah, that's very confident of him. It's funny that his parents gas him up. That's probably like tells part of the story.
Yeah.
You know? Like he has too much confidence.
Yeah.
Too much
It was strange.
That is so strange. Wow, you're never gonna forget that though.
I'll never forget that one. That was a sight to see.
Maybe that's why he did it.
Yeah. I also saw a guy one time take a full hot dog, had mayo in his pocket, squirted it, put it down his entire throat, talked, and then spit it back out whole.
Oh my God.
That one I liked though. That cracked me up.
Like for like an open mic or something?
Yeah, and then he took a bite after and sat back down. I was like, all right.
That's a talent.
Yeah. So like seriously, comedy is anything that you want to do. Just you go do it.
Swallow a hot dog.
Yeah.
You could literally shove a glizzy down your throat on stage.
Glizzy it up. Yep.
And you will be a successful comic that night.
Yes.
They'll be like, that guy's the
That
coolest
guy
guy
is
in
going
this room.
somewhere.
He's going somewhere. He's a star.
I don't know where, but he's going there.
It was funny. I think it was Said Moore. It was just at an open mic, and he talked about like just like a couple random things, like cheating on his girlfriend or whatever he said. And then like it was funny because afterwards, Mike Knight, he was hosting, and he said like, man, like he just said the most fucked up, depraved shit, and you guys just all laughed and clapped about it.
Yep.
You know, like that is what comedy is all
It really
about.
is. Yeah.
And he was so right.
It really
It's
is.
literally, he just talked for 5 minutes about saying racist things to his daughter. Like everybody laughs. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how comedy
Yeah.
works. There's not a format. There's really nothing. It's almost better if you do worse things. If you pick boogers and stuff. Like that's what we're saying here. There's really not much to it, you know. It's really not. But at the same time there is though. At the same time there is. You know, it's kind of like I feel like some people fall into patterns like where you become the booger picker, you become that guy, and then you don't do anything else. Like that's kind of the hard part. It's kind of like you're saying like how you don't have crowd work, or you don't have like an hour. Like there's things that sometimes people are okay with, like not like they'll just do one thing and that's all they ever do. They'll only do crowd work. Where it's like I feel like so much of comedy is learning different things and learning different ways to tell jokes and learning different things to do on stage and becoming more comfortable. And it's all like going up and getting better.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it's that, not like staying in one place and doing that one thing.
Yeah, if you're doing it right, you should be progressing and changing like kind of throughout.
That's kind of what open mics are all about.
Yeah.
You know, and that's cool that open mics are even such a thing where you can go to them all the time, at least in a city, you know.
Yeah.
Is there at least like options where, because you're a little bit out of the city, is there more options over there, like near where the Vixen is and all that?
You know, like 2023, there was a lot of like suburban comedy. It was, and even like last year, maybe more so last year, like had a peak where there was, Round Lake, a couple spots in Round Lake. There's, the writer's room right in McHenry there. And then I think some other spots, but now those are kind of all closed. There's a spot in Antioch now that's being run. It's not too far. There's maybe three mics that are nearby, but it's not too common. So if you want the better open mics, you go to the city,
travel.
you go to Milwaukee, yeah. And it's worth it though, because not every open mic that you're going to, people are like, wow, you are so freaking funny. I have to, that's not how it works every time.
Right.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes you'd meet the right person, you network, and I'm running a show, or you haven't met someone before, and that's a lot of fun. But it'll be more so to just work on the material and just kind of work that out.
Yeah.
So.
And then, like, when it comes to open mics that you've been to in the city, are there a decent amount that you've been to, or no? Is it more?
Yeah.
So which ones do you know?
There's so many in Chicago. If you're doing it right in Chicago, if you're there, kind of planning it out, there you can hit 4 in a night. Honestly, there's a lot of ones close by together. Milwaukee's kind of the same, but like I've done 2 in a row, like out in Milwaukee. There's some spots like that.
What's Milwaukee's comedy scene like?
There's I like it better, to be honest.
Really?
Chicago's good. Again, there's like so many different bars that'll do it. But there's a lot of talent in Chicago. Not to say there isn't in Wisconsin. There's a lot of talent in Wisconsin too, but it's so much more heavily like in the Chicago scene. Everyone's trying to be different, make a name. There's just a lot more and a lot more cliquey in like the Chicago scene. If you're not like there, if you don't know people, like, and you go randomly to like a mic, they're kind of like you don't get talked to as much. But I find that Wisconsin mics, a lot more friendly people, a lot more friendly comics. They kind of want to include, and I just like Wisconsin. I plan to move there one day. I love Wisconsin people. They're all just, for the most part, super friendly, and I find that comedy scene reflects it as well.
Interesting. Like, it's more like Midwestern hospitality.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
See that? Okay, I can see how that would go. I mean, just in any like, is it because it's just a city, but it's not as big, right? That's kind of the idea. Like, it's how populated is Milwaukee?
It's pretty populated. It's pretty, yeah.
Do you know like the population? Do you know what it is?
Because
I know Chicago is like 3.5 million or something.
You know, I was studying populations of cities right before I got here, and I forgot Milwaukee.
Video games, populations. What's going on here?
Don't even ask me Oshkosh.
Yeah. But yeah. Either way, like, I'm sure a lot of it just is anywhere you go, the mentality is going to be different. That's kind of what's fun about the world is you can travel somewhere and people are going to be completely different than wherever you are.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. There's great people in both scenes that I've met, some really, really cool comedians. And it is fun to, you know, you do a show and you're like, meet someone that like, have you met this person or this person? Like, I got to introduce you to this person. You know, it's like you kind of get that and then you get a show from that, you know, just word of mouth. And so it's fun to be able to expand to both sides because it's useful to me. Not everyone has that ability, you know?
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of like interconnectedness within those two scenes to begin with anyways.
Yeah, you know? Especially with Roast Battle. They're really starting to now have like the Wisconsin Roast Battle, Chicago Roast Battle starting to come together. So that's really cool to see. They are really connecting together.
Right, like the stars. You know, it's like a crossover episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is kind of what it is.
Comedy Cabin is a big club out there in Janesville, which has like a lot of big shows, and they have like, I don't know what date it is, but like coming up, Andrew Dismukes from SNL, like they got like different like SNL cast members come do stand up there, and
really,
yeah, so that's and they do open mic last Tuesday of each month, and that's a fun spot to do.
I've noticed the Roast Battle Chicago has had like a couple bigger comics, like as like guest hosts and stuff. I didn't really realize that until I was just looking. But that's like a SNL. That's another big pull.
Oh yeah,
that's in Milwaukee though. That's their Roast Battle. You're saying?
That's Comedy Cabin. Yeah,
Comedy Cabin.
Yeah, just like a venue, which I think they do the Roast Battle there as well sometimes. But they do open mics there. They do shows.
Is it a bigger venue?
Yeah, it's like strange. You go into like an office building and then it's a door within the office building. You go downstairs and it's like a little like comedy club.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the coolest thing is when it's kind of tucked away like that. It makes it feel secret.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, oh my God, how is this even here? You know, go in there. Whoa.
I just did a show on the 7th or 8th of this month, and it was at like a horror themed bar in Kenosha.
What?
Yeah, it was
like
really
a comedy show at a horror themed bar.
Yeah. I feel like maybe the bar's new. It's called The Final Girl, but yeah, it's completely horror themed. Like the final girl is like the last girl in each horror movie that lives, and so they got like different memorabilia and pictures and paintings and stuff. It was a cool bar to be at.
That's fun.
So
was there horror themed comedy going on where people
kind of
joking about the invite? I feel like there's a lot of material there.
Yeah, it was like a darker show. Yeah. I've done one at a circus themed bar. That was a really cool one. And that was also in Kenosha, I think, or somewhere. No, that might have been somewhere else in Wisconsin, but that was a really cool show.
Circus?
Yeah. Got in a car accident on the way home from that show.
Oh, yeah. What a wacky night.
Yeah.
Circus bar, car accident.
Yeah.
Is it like a decent car accident? What kind of car accident is a vague term because a car accident could be a lot of things.
It wasn't a crazy one. It was just we're like on a side road and it's like all dark and we're turning a corner. This car's just going straight at us, and my fiance had to like pull off into the side, but it completely smashed like the whole side and took off the mirror and put a nice dent and
could have got you.
Yeah,
it could have. Cause wait, you're saying like they T-boned you essentially? Like they were coming from the side?
Yeah, and actually I think they hit my side. I think it's my side. So they were coming like straight on, and then she had to like last second like into our lane, swerve out, and just it like hit because she was like, "Are they gonna move?" And so we would have hit head on had she not moved. It was pretty crazy, but yeah, all for comedy.
Yeah, right.
I was like, sorry, we were out because of me.
Yeah. Was it late?
Yeah.
Like 1 a.m.
Yeah, I think maybe a drunk driver or something.
Probably.
Yeah.
Ay. Well, it's always good when you don't die in a car accident.
It is. That's
don't get a major injury.
Yeah.
No injuries, no deaths. Like that's usually like because I've been in like. I've had people around me get in car accidents, and I've been in car accidents, and I don't think I've ever like had someone close to me or me like actually nothing really bad's happened. But like one time somebody was pulling out of my driveway. This is when I lived in Flint, Michigan. So like we were gonna go to a bar, and I didn't really like the bar we were at. I'm like, I didn't even really be there, I just wanted to go home. I'm not a bar person to begin with, and it was one of those like stuffed like tiny alleyway, like it's like one tight little building that's just literally probably if there was 6 people standing in a row, you're gonna fill up the whole width of the room.
Okay.
And then it's just like that going all the way back. It's a tight little closet feeling type of room. And then you pack this room full of drunk people.
Yeah.
And so it's loud as hell. I can't hear you. You're right next to me. Like, bro, I don't need to be at this place.
Yeah. So overstimulating. Yeah.
Not for me. I can get it. I get the appeal, but not for me. And so that's where we were. And then I was like, no, I'm just going to go home. I'm just going to call it a night. She's like, you really don't want to go to the other bar? I'm like, no, it's fine. Trust me. She's probably thinking like it's her. I'm like, no, believe me, I'm good. I've had enough. And so I remember like we go back to my house and then she's leaving and she pulls out of the driveway and it's like right after I shut the door and I go inside and I hear like,
oh man.
And I'm thinking like, whoa, did a bomb just go off outside? Like, what was that? That was crazy. And then I wait like 30 seconds and then I'm thinking like, man, like that really was weird. Like maybe I should go outside and look. And then when I went outside and looked, when she had backed out of the driveway, a car had come up around the corner without headlights on and smashed into her car. Yeah, and it just barely, like, it hit, like, right behind where it would have hit her. So if it was a little bit, if she had backed out a little bit more, she probably would have gotten seriously hurt.
And you were like, hope that works out for you. And you just locked the door. Damn.
Yeah, what is it? What you can't see, it can't hurt you.
Yeah.
I just, like, covered up my eyes and went to bed.
Just do that top lock real quick.
But that was crazy. That was particular, and she didn't get hurt. The point of the story being she didn't get hurt because that's crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that
way
even
worse.
happened.
Yeah.
And I guess like what it was is the person who came over like speeding down the street with their headlights off had just hit someone else on a motorcycle down the street, and they were speeding away from that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You gotta love it.
Not a good night for them. Not a good night for them.
Not a good night for them. And I think they might have gotten away. I can't remember. Maybe it was a good night for them. I can't remember if that person got caught or not. That part I can't remember. I remember going out and I remember locking the door and peeking through the blinds and seeing her car destroyed. This is crazy. I mean, so that's never fun. One time I slid off the highway once because I was trying to catch an Amtrak train Amtrak train I just missed. And so I was thinking if I just speed, I'm going to catch it. But it was a very snowy day. And so my car, like I lost traction for a second and it went like, it swerved this way and then this way. And then I went straight down the hill. But if I would have went sideways down the hill, I would have rolled. Yeah. And that would have been really bad.
That sounds scary.
God was on my side. And now I will never make that mistake again.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like a miracle I didn't get hurt or die.
For sure.
Driving is actually really dangerous.
It's pretty terrifying.
It's like when you actually think about what you're really doing.
Yeah.
It's really... That's why, like, you ever see those videos of people, like, swerving through traffic, like sliding through lanes and stuff? That's crazy.
Honestly, freaking parallel parking today. I was sweating.
Yeah. My mom, she's got on her car now, she's got one of those things like the car has like assisted parallel parking. So it's not like a self-driving car, but it uses the cameras and then it like steers the wheel for her and it tells her to reverse and then it steers the wheel again and it tells her to reverse again. So it basically parallel parks for her.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, because she was scared coming to the city because she doesn't... Where I'm from, you don't have to do all that.
Okay. Is she still in Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like, it's like you grow up here, you just know how to parallel park. If you grow up in a city with like crowded everywhere, you figure out how to parallel park pretty fast. It's like learning how to walk. It's like learning how to ride a bike. But if you're from somewhere where you never really have to, and you come here, you're like super scared. Like you learned this. It's like cursive. It's like you learned it once.
Yeah.
One time when you were little, you never used it again.
Yeah. I just had to do the old 19-point turn,
Yeah, it's scary. It is scary. I would sweat. I don't drive a car. That's one of the reasons I'm afraid. I don't want to parallel park.
What brought you out to Chicago?
Well, I already did this podcast where I was from in Flint, Michigan, and it did fine. It did what it does here. Or it did what it does here, but differently. I mean, really, you could do a podcast anywhere. But every time I would come here, I would feel like just with music and just with the podcast and all these things, it seems like this is a place where there's so much more room for growth than where I'm already at. Like where I'm at, I can do things, but this place has so much more room for opportunity. And I thought about it too. It's like there's so many people that I could think of where like if they didn't make some type of choice, if they didn't like go to some place, they wouldn't be the person that they are. Like a lot of the time that's what you have to do is make some type of major decision and move out to that place. Like I don't know if you're familiar with the YouTuber Casey Neistat. That guy's awesome. He's like one of the best YouTubers of all time in the sense that like he made the daily vlog like a cinematic thing. Like he was doing daily vlogs for like I think he did them for like 500 days in a row.
Wow.
But he did it like in a way where he was a filmmaker and he was doing it in New York in like in a consistent quality way, and it was always telling a story. And like just part of what he would say, like he said it in podcasts, but part of what his story is like he moved to New York from this small town where he didn't really have anything going on. And it just made me think like if he had never did that, if he never went to New York, his life would be so radically different, because you can't even begin to tell that story unless you make that one change, and then that story really starts.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it's probably like the same type of thing happening with me right now. You know, like being in Flint, Michigan, I'm not going to like become the thing that I can see within myself. It's not going to happen. I can do things here, but it's not going to be that. And so I think Chicago also just like it's an artful city. You could say that too. I think the art is respected within Chicago, just in the architecture.
For sure. It's a very artful city.
Yeah, just in the way you'll see like graffiti and the way that things are I think it's respected. And so within that, you know, even in comedy, I think the comedy scene within Chicago, even though it's competitive, I have to imagine it's not quite like LA or New York competitive.
No, I would say no. I haven't been there, but I feel like from what I hear, that's a little bit more competitive and cutthroat out there. Exactly.
And so like I think all those things, I could just see that from afar. I would come here, I would visit. I think the first time I visited was 2021, I want to say. And I was like, oh my God, I was blinded by the lights, you know? And then I came back a couple extra times and I was like, okay, like if the seed is planted within my brain, I should just probably do that thing, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be more opportunity out here. Where do you like perform? Like,
honestly, so it's just the open mics so I really, it's funny. I moved here in June of 2023. And then I didn't really go to open mics or do anything until October of 2024. Which is, as we record this, it's February 2025. So that's really not that long ago from now.
No, it's not.
It's like 5 months ago, 4 months ago. And that's when I started meeting all these comedians and going to open mics. And really, if it's all arts, I can get away with it. You know, I can do whatever I'm going to do. I can rap, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it just seems like there's way more comedy open mics than there are music open mics to begin with. And the all arts open mics really are mainly comedy open mics with some music as well.
Yeah.
That's generally what it seems like. Like if you wanted a music open mic, you'd probably have to make one or like know where to look.
Yeah.
That's probably how it goes. But with that being said, folks, I think as we record this episode, I think it'll have already happened, because this is like late towards the end of March as this episode comes out. But I have a show as I record it that hasn't happened yet. So we're from the past. You're time traveling as you watch this, folks. I have a show March 15th.
Cool.
So go on my Instagram and see it. It already happened.
They should know. Yeah.
It's so crazy. I'm in the future as I say this. It's crazy. They should already know. What are you behind? Like me right now?
Actually. They all loved it. Yeah.
They all loved it. They were all there.
Yeah. Thank you for the support.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Yeah. But, so that's March 15th. And I feel like it's just like comedy. It's just like anything. Once you have that ball rolling, it just naturally happens.
For sure.
So, I mean, I just trust that process. I trust that I'm meeting all these people right now. I'm gonna be at the Chicago Theater in like 3 months. Okay. It's going to happen.
Hell yeah.
Before you guys even know it, I'm going to be on your mom's cell phone screen. You're going to be like, wait a minute, that's Ruse right there.
You actually already are. That's so weird that you say that.
Wow. See, again, I'm from the future. But yeah, I mean, like, that's I don't know. I don't even know, like I've been trying to figure out like where a good place is for me to, because I think it'd be a good idea for me to try to get into booking shows and doing that kind of. I already know a bunch of comedians. I just have to find a way to make that work. I'd have to find a way to make that gimmick work, because I think blending comedy and music is already kind of a tough thing to pull off. So like there's that. But I'm trying to like figure out venues and stuff like that and spot that out. That's I'm in the process of that right now, because that's the other thing. I feel like it'd be cool to produce shows.
Oh, for sure.
I think a lot of comedians end up in doing that.
Yeah,
that's what they end up like, just naturally.
Yeah.
But I think like I'm saying, I've met like 40 comedians through my podcast. I'm sure it wouldn't be very hard to convince 3 of them. Like, hey, you want to do a show?
Not at all.
Yeah. So. And that could be a whole other thing. Like producing, I'm sure, leads to other opportunities, just like open mics lead to other opportunities and all of that. Like, you have any like random people you've met that you didn't realize in the moment? Like, you know, what like you just met them, you're like, oh, there's this guy at an open mic, and then now they're like somebody that you're very close friends with?
Like, have I become friends with any of the people that I've been?
Well, I guess just like, you have any people where you couldn't have predicted that they would have had such a role in your life, you know?
I think for sure with Amy, yeah, because I met her the first night at that Round Lake mic when I just came back to it, and I had a lot of good feedback from a lot of people that I met there. Joseph Christopher, I don't think I met John that first night, but I met a couple people that I still see to this day, and a lot of them were like, how long have you been doing comedy? And I was like, this is basically my first night, back, technically. And they're like, oh, they couldn't believe it. And Amy kind of immediately took a liking to me, and we've been talking nonstop ever since. And so we're really tight friends. And I said she's going to officiate my wedding now, so that's a big role. So I asked her, I made a stand-up flyer for her, like made her like the headliner, like put me and my fiance there, put like the dates, and made it, asked her that way. So that'll be cool. And but I've met really some cool people, made some friends. It's easy to make friends in the comedy scene, which is nice. It's like people that just kind of already get you in a sense. It's I find it's not too often that people are, at least in my experience this time around, rude or like don't want to talk back. If you go up to someone, you're like, hey, I really liked your set, whatever. Everyone's always kind of willing to chat. But I've met a few people that I really click with throughout that. So it's great. I feel like I'm going to continue to make more friends as I go on, which I look forward to.
What is your like comedy goal then? If it's not to like make it and be successful, like what would you think of as like the ultimate goal with it?
Oh, definitely making it and being successful.
Oh, yeah.
I try not to like live in a fantasy where I want to be realistic. I don't, because I have to be realistic. That's a possibility that it won't work out that way for me. And I don't want to be like upset with myself for the rest of my life, because I already experienced 10 years of being so upset that I stopped comedy. So now I just know I don't want to stop comedy. It's going well. I'm booking more and I'm getting better spots and it's looking up. I would love to be making a living off of it, but for now I'm not even 2 years in this time around. It takes time to kind of get your feet wet, but I can see that what I want is obtainable. It's very crazy to see in comedy where it's like you're almost like one person away from someone else all the time.
Well, it's, I think, the 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, which is so funny because I never realized that it's actually based on the 7 Degrees of Separation.
Yeah.
I never knew those were 2 different things. I thought Kevin Bacon was the first one. But yeah, that's what it is. It's like you're always really only a couple people away.
Truly,
It really is true.
Yeah. So.
You don't realize it. There's like that Wikipedia game where, if you've ever heard of it, it's like you're trying to get to a certain Wikipedia article, but you have to start on a random one, and you can only click the links that are in each article to get to it.
Okay, I've never played that, but that's fun.
Yeah, but it's an actual game you can play, and you can always eventually get to the other thing just by clicking through links on each article. So like you're trying to get to Zimbabwe from John Cena.
Yeah.
I guarantee it's easier than you think.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take much. So yeah, I think about that even with a podcast, I try to always keep that in mind. Like I think of it like a net of people. Like you don't see it, but it's there. It's like a giant net of people where everyone's kind of interconnected, but you don't know who's connected to who. And like within that, certain communities already have this interconnectedness. So like if you're meeting people within the comedy community and everybody kind of knows everybody in general in life, like people know people in this community even more than that. So like everybody's going to know somebody. And then eventually by meeting 50, 100 comedians, you really are like separated by one with this super huge comedian that if you just met them one time and they liked you, they could put you on a show and then boom, that could be like your first big show. Like there's a million ways that can happen.
It really does
and it
happen.
Really is true that it's who you know. Like that is so much of what it is. I think that's a good thing in a way, because you should get out and meet people, and like you learn a lot from meeting those people, like especially comedians that you like and you respect and you like what they do. Like you learn a lot from, I'm sure you've learned a lot from Amy. I'm sure you learn. I mean, I feel like, I could never think like some of the smartest people I know, and it's not something to be upset about. It's something to be like excited about, Yeah. Like I feel like some people get mad, they get jealous. It's like you should want everybody to be good. You should want all the comedians to be good.
Yeah, because it's not taking anything from you, especially if it's your own style. Like don't be mad. There is a lot of like jealousy, where it's like people feel like well, why are they booking that show, or they shouldn't be doing this, or so much of that goes on. I hear it about myself, where I'm like it happens, and it's just like, be better. And I try not to, it's hard not to compare sometimes, but I try not to compare myself to others, because I go, I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm going out when I'm going, and I'm booking I can only do me. I can it will progress. I think just have to stay consistent and not get tripped up over what everyone else is doing,
Yeah, right. Because it really doesn't matter. Like there's a million shows you could be booked on at any given time. Yeah. Like in one night, there's 10 different shows going on, like in this general square radius. Within 5 miles from us. Totally. Yeah. So it's really not. And I mean, like comedy too, it's one of those things where you could do it like any night of the week, like any time of the day. A lot of the time you could do it at noon, you could do it at 8 p.m. Like you can have shows at all kinds of places. Yeah. So you could even, if you're really that upset about it, again, like that's probably why a lot of people become producers. Yeah. Because you could just book a show. If you really don't like it, you could just start booking shows. And I think that probably teaches those people too. Because when you start doing it, you realize, oh, it is who you know. It's like, I'm going to book my friends because they're who I know. Yeah. I'm not going to like go and book this random guy. Like, I can't remember who it was that said it to me, but they said it just recently. But it's like, you're not going to get booked if you're like the person who is talking shit about the producers on Facebook because they don't book you. Yeah. That's the last thing
exactly
they're gonna want.
Yeah.
And so, but that's what you see happen. Like people just start talking shit and getting upset about it. And it actually lowers the chances. It doesn't make it better, but I think like a lot of it too is like, I don't know. I think everybody has their own version of what good comedy is and how it's supposed to work and what they think it is and what they think the comedy scene is supposed to be, and that would exist anywhere, but in the end it's like, it's a lot of it is probably just showing up and just being nice to everybody.
Yeah, being professional like any other job. Be professional. And I've had shows where like I feel like the one I just hosted, I don't really love hosting. I just don't think it's for me, because I'm kind of a low energy person. It feels fake to me to be like, how's everyone doing tonight? Yeah. Like it's just not, I can't do that for an hour and a half. And so I hosted there before and I felt like it didn't go well. The producer does not agree with me. I think it's just my own self-criticism, but I'm like, I really feel like I did not do well. But I think my attitude, like he booked me again pretty immediately in hosting again, that I'm like, could be just professionalism, attitude. You want to do good, you want to do well, you show up on time, you know. Yeah. So it is a lot of just how you carry yourself. But you'll see producers, regardless, just kind of booking their friends and it's the same show over and over, just kind of swap out faces. And then, so it's like you'll have that happen too. And then you'll have other shows where people are, producers are looking for good comics. They do go out and scout. They are scouting at open mics or wherever, other shows. And they're like, I got to get in touch with that person. So...
Is it, are you on that Ron Bloom show coming up? Is that the Ladies of Laughter thing? That's what I thought I saw. Yeah. He's a good producer.
Yes. Yeah.
I like him a lot.
I just met him finally for the first time in, I think it was January. I did a guest spot for the Ladies of Laughter. That was a really fun show. That's at my buddy's. And they've got open mics there too. But now I'm going to do feature spot, March 7th. So I'm excited for that one. And he's a good guy. Nice guy. Been my second time meeting him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I saw he was on here too.
Yeah. Well, he was telling me that he started that because like ladies kind of get a bad rep in the comedy scene, and he just wanted to have a thing that was like for girls.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like, okay, it's just a nice thing to do. Like, it really was as pure as that. That's the reason he made it. You know?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, and it is true. Like, you go to some open mics and it'll be like 30 jokes about why women are stupid.
Yeah.
That will happen. It's not unheard of. There's like certain places in particular where it's just going to happen. And like, even in some ways you can make that material work, but other times it's like the low hanging fruit and everybody knows.
Yeah.
And so like, I do hear it when he's saying that. I'm sure a lot of women I'm sure they go through that pain. I'm sure they do.
I'll see it sometimes, in people's faces, like, like particularly men, just kind of like, as soon as I'm up, they kind of turn off. And some of my jokes that's sometimes to me a challenge. I'm like, okay, well, fucking listen to me then. Like, I'm still going to make you laugh.
Yeah.
And that'll be a challenge. But I think a lot of people assume that women are just kind of telling the same sex jokes and period jokes and this, and some of them are I'm like, okay, you are giving us a bad name and you're boring. But some dudes are the same, where they're talking about porn and jerking off and this, and I'm like, this is the same jokes too that I've heard a billion times. So it goes either way. Material's material. If you're good, you're good, Yeah,
and that's usually what it is. It's the same thing with music, like you see there's so much rap where I feel like they're not really doing anything. They're just doing the thing that they think they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And of course, like, that could work with some people, but I don't think it's going to ever get you anywhere. I don't think it's ever going to challenge anybody. And like, but again, like, maybe that's just my high standard I'm putting on it. I always try to give myself humility. Like, maybe I'm not seeing something here. The problem is, like, when it really is as thoughtless as nothing. Like, when it really is nothing. And that's what I think, like, the problem with, like, that type of humor is what happens is people are just trying to be edgy. They're just trying to say, the intent isn't much more than I'm saying the edgiest thing I possibly could. Totally. Which is just such a boring premise to say a joke within. Like, at least have an idea behind that then. Like, you need that, but then an idea. Totally. It's not just that. Yeah. And you'll see, like, a 5-minute set of them just doing that, and it's like, oh no. Yeah,
they just think they're gonna say something so controversial, and they're like, yeah, it's comedy. Yeah, totally.
Yes. And I'd been warned about that. I was like, oh, you're gonna see this, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, maybe there probably is something to what they're saying, and then I witnessed it a few times, and I'm like, oh, they were right. Like, so yes. Without that being said, Ron Bloom's doing good things.
Yes, he is. Especially by putting me on a show. That's, I think, his best move yet.
His best move of all time. Keep it up.
With your music, which, by the way, top 3, I love Brain Food. Such a good sample. Because I love that original song as well. Anything else I wished was a little bit longer. Love that one. And Real Talk. Great ones.
So Brain Food is from like late 2022, and the music video, there is a music video for that song.
I watched
on
that
YouTube.
one.
Yeah. So that was when I was visiting Chicago. Fun thing about that music video is it was cold out. Like, it was like late December. So like all those times when I'm like with my shirt, like just in my shirt without my jacket on, it was cold to film that. Okay. It was like 0 degrees outside.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was committed. I stood in front of those Christmas trees and I rapped. So check it out, folks. Brain Food video on YouTube. But with that plug aside, thank you very much. What is that original song?
Durando. Didn't I do right? I think
so.
Yeah, I think it's.
Didn't I treat you right?
Yes, I love that song.
Yeah. I first heard it on Breaking Bad. I think it was like on like the 3rd or 4th. It's the episode called Cancer Man. I remember that. I think it was like the 4th or 5th episode. But it's at the very end of the episode when like Walt does something really cool and he's walking away and the song's playing. It's like, ooh, ooh, and it's just, oh, it's great. So yes, number 1. That's your number 1. Wow, that's a fun one.
That's a great one.
That song, that's a great one. Yes. The second verse in that song in particular. There's some good stuff happening there.
Yeah, how do you like come up with your lyrics? Where do you write from?
Well, I remember that song. So just in general, usually what I do. So let me just say before I get too distracted, anything else, that song is like the oldest song. Like, that's one of my oldest songs. That song is, there was a beat on SoundCloud that the guy had put up, and I asked him, like, can I use it? And he said, yeah. And
I know that sample too, but I can't name it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I heard it. I was like, oh, I freaking love this beat. So that,
And that song, I think I wrote in like 2017, I want to say, which is crazy because now that's 8 years ago. But yeah, I feel like it's that old.
Yeah.
Like 2017 or 2018. And that song is, what I really like about that song is I think like it portrays the humanity within being in like a relationship that you should not be within, but at the same time it's like that's what the hook is, but I'll take it over anything else. And you're amazing, you're the best of me still, but I'll take it over anything else. And it's just like I feel like there's I like that idea a lot. That's a hard thing to write a song about. And then what's the third one you said? You said
Real Talk.
Real Talk. Yeah.
It's a good one. Good
what
beat.
do I say? Master, I'll flip it if you want to. You can get it. I mean, everybody else, you can make everybody else a bitch, everybody else a punk, anybody else is cool, but this game full of chumps. I could take them like a dump. See, I'll show you I'm the shit. The fact that I said, see, I'll take them like a dump, I feel like that's the beauty of rap is you can say the most absurd things. It's very similar to comedy.
Yeah.
I can get away with saying something like that.
Yeah, and it sounds cool. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'll take them like a dump.
I'll take them like a dump.
Yeah, I'll fucking take you like a dump, dude.
That's a fucking bar, bro.
Have you ever thought about doing like comedy, like a comedy song? I don't know if comedy is at all your thing.
I feel like Real Talk kind of almost counts as a comedy song. There's some songs like, because I think like Slim Shady and like Eminem, he was kind of doing comedy rap. Like I think if I were to do comedy rap, it would be like that.
Okay.
I think when I go to Power Hour, that qualifies as comedy rap.
Okay.
Because what I do there is I knew I'd have to freestyle. I knew that was a thing. But what I do is I'll take notes while everybody's going up. Like I'll write down little things that everybody mentions, and then I freestyle all the stuff they said.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like
so
that.
somebody will say something about like peeing the bed, and I'll be like, yeah, when I rap, I be in your head. You feel me inside. I said it's like I peed in your bed, you know? And everybody's like, whoa, they said peed in your bed fucking 40 minutes ago. He just brought it back.
Oh, I'm peeing in my bed now. Whoa.
I'm peeing in my bed. I just peed when he said that. So, yeah, that one's fun. But it's really just like, I think when I freestyle, I just naturally turns into comedy rap because I just say dumb things when I freestyle. I think I could do comedy rap pretty easily. Hey, I think I could pull it off.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know. Like Lil Dicky is, Lil Dicky is like mastered the art of comedy rap in the sense that he's still a good rapper while he does it. That's kind of the hard part is like to be a good rapper and to do comedy rap. Oh, there is a good comedy rap song I have called Sensei Tesla. That's a good one.
Okay.
I'm not gonna remember off the top of my head. I wish I could. Also, I remembered that thing from earlier. I was talking about Eddie Murphy in Raw.
Eddie Murphy, yeah.
That's
I was wondering. I almost
about.
said Eddie Murphy after I said Richard Pryor.
Because Raw was the one that had all the swear
crazy
words.
One, yes.
Yeah.
Very, very dirty.
Let me see if I got Sensei Tesla's lyrics on my phone. I don't think I do. Yeah. But I say front to the back, pass the blunt, not the crack, kick balls like a punt, hit balls like a bat, big balls, let them sag, South Park, big sacks, where you from, where you at, where you been, this is that, And then, broke man, what you think about a banknote? I am him, what you think that I'ma pay for? First date, and we, what is it, she pay when we on the first date, ho. 3 paid plates, and I'm thinking I'ma take 4. Yeah, that's
Love it.
3 plates, and I'm thinking I'm gonna take 4. I like the idea of a guy like making the girl pay and also just
Sounds
getting.
like my ex-boyfriend. Sorry to
These
interrupt
guys
you.
exist. That's what's funny about that. It's a real person.
Yeah, they definitely exist.
It's not just comedy; they're real. It's funny because it's true.
Well, side note, first I have to say, one of the things I forgot to mention is you do have great range in your vocals too. Like the different, forget what it was called,
Dark Night.
Dark Night. Yeah, the way you sing that one is very different. I was like, okay, cool. Like you have different range that you can go to.
There was a point when I was in a band, and that showed me a lot with like, because before that I was just doing rap, and then like the band was like an indie rock type band, and I didn't really listen to indie rock. I like it, but I don't really listen to it, and so it was cool to even do that because it kind of like forced me to use my voice differently. And so that's kind of how I figured out like how to really like, because if I'm rapping, it's like you're throwing your voice up here, kind of like this. Like if I'm talking, I'm more down here. But if I'm rapping, I usually get up in here. But even then, like a good example is someone like Kendrick, where Kendrick kind of, I think what you should be doing is allowing the song to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Like allow the beat to show you what to do. Or like sometimes even you'll have a way you think you're going to do it. And then just by like recording it and being there, you can figure something else out. Because there's a million ways you can use your voice.
Yeah.
Like your voice is an instrument in that.
For sure. That's how I feel when I listen to music. I feel like people are one of two ways. Is you can listen to music and you'll memorize the lyrics quick, or you memorize like the song. And I find myself like, I know lyrics to my favorite songs, but mostly I'll hear a song dozens of times and I never know what they're singing about because but I could nail the song and I could hit every beat, like that's what I'm listening to. And the vocals are just another instrument to me in a sense, like it just works with the song, but it could really be about anything. I just like it with the song and the music, but I feel like some people will listen to it. Like my fiance can hear a song once and she'll know like all the lyrics. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you like every song that comes out? I'm like, how do you know this one? How do you know this one? How do you know this one? Just knows every lyric, but then won't know like the music of it, so it's strange.
That's interesting. I mean, I think like in that, I think that's what makes a lot of people like good songwriters is that I feel like a lot of the time what happens is they feel the melody before the words even kind of come together. That's where a good melody comes from if you're writing a song. Like usually it's like, I can feel that. That's why freestyling is like an interesting thing because you're doing it in real time, but you have to like feel it out. And that's where a flow comes from.
Yeah.
Like in rap, that's why rappers have like certain flows because they kind of have a way of using words and going about that.
Yeah.
And like, that's really, I feel like where the musicality is and like the soul is within how you frame that, where like the melody comes from, because it's, certain people just sound certain ways, like, and it's unmistakable. Kendrick's somebody who switches up his flow a lot, but there's certain rappers who don't really do that. They just have a certain way of rapping. Like I could think at least like Jay-Z, like has a very specific way of stringing together words.
Slower, yeah.
I don't think anybody can rap quite like Jay-Z does, where it's like he just has a certain like way of flowing that's so different. And like I think like it's again kind of like comedy where it's like it's so much who you are and kind of how you interpret things.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. It's like if you can kind of figure out how to hone that and make it translate into this art form, you get better and better at it because, whatever like because it's not just rap, like the way people write, I think like one of the people that I thought was like just a crazy good song. I still think he is. I think like Kurt Cobain, he was one of the few first songwriters where I was like, the way that he writes music is so smart because it's never telling you what he's trying to say exactly. And that's how you should be doing things ideally. Like you should be letting the listener or the person like figure it out. You should be able to hear the song 10 times and not know what it's about, even if you did pay attention to the words, you know? It should be like a fun mystery. And like, I think that's what a lot of great art winds up being, like even comedy. Good comedy, I don't know what the comedian's really thinking. I know what they think is funny about whatever given thing is, but they didn't tell me what I should think or what they think.
Exactly.
They told me what was funny about it.
Yeah.
And like that's the hard part is how to just say what's funny and not to tell people what you think. But there's like so songwriting is I think like that's what I do. That's how I write things is I just kind of feel it out every single time. I just kind of feel out the melody. You just kind of like, it's probably just like when a joke comes to you. It's probably the same thing. Like you just know that's the thing that makes sense. And then you put it somewhere real quick and then you iron it out from there.
Yeah.
The hard part, I think a lot of people, what they struggle with like writing like songs, I'm sure jokes is the same, is the premise. It's probably starting. It's probably getting the first line down.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have so many ideas. I have so many premises, but it's like, how do I make it funny?
Yeah.
It's working that out to go like, this isn't funny though. This is
just a thing that I thought.
Yeah. Explaining how this is funny to me, making it funny to them, and then also cutting out so much of the fat. Like I've gotten better at that. Like my first couple sets, I just had so much story to what I was trying to get to. And I've kind of learned like, I don't need all this. What's funny about this? Cut that out, cut this out. Like, the corn dog joke used to be a story. And I'm like, it's funny to tell like person one-on-one because it's just ridiculous. But like to a whole audience, there's a lot of just I'm telling a story and people are just listening. You know, so it's like you just have to cut just what's weird about what's funny. Just that I would be into corn dogs sexually. Like, you know, just put that in there and that's it. That's all that's needed.
Cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there's so much of like trimming fat that happens with comedy in general.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that's so much of it. I mean, that's why so many people record their sets. Do you record your sets?
Yeah, I record all my sets. And yeah, it's just even tweaking a word here, changing this word, or I feel like I said this word twice. I want to cut that out. What's a different word I could say? You know, it's a different way I can inflect this. Like, I am always like going through with like a you know, a fine point pen to change little things that I feel like could be better. You know, re-listening to a set after, noticing where the laughs hit, where maybe I didn't expect a laugh here. Okay, they thought that was funny, so maybe I punch that up next time. Maybe I do focus on that part. You know, it's helpful to do that and to just kind of, you know, it's always a work in progress. It's never like I feel like a joke is never set. You know, and then when I do have a joke that I don't change for some time, I'm like, should I be changing it? I'm like, no, it works. Why would I change it? You know?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, do you have jokes that have like shape shifted over time into something else entirely? Like it was something at first and then it kept changing? Yeah,
kind of just my set in general. Like I use a lot. I do some observations, but mostly my material is all my life experiences and almost like in a I use it like personally as like a therapeutic way to like like process shit in my life, you know, like I'm in my relationship that I'm in, my family's not supportive, so I have a lot of jokes just kind of about that, like my parents not being, you know, supportive of the relationship and just joking about that will kind of change over time as a relationship has changed. You know, there's more to it now that I'm engaged, more reactions that have happened, more, you know, so I will change that. You know, or just whatever's kind of going on in my life is kind of what I'm talking about for the most part. So the whole set itself kind of changes, but I always try to have everything kind of go together. It's very rare that I've got a couple jokes that I could fit in anywhere, but I'm more of like any jokes are very long form and it's connected to 4 or 5 other jokes, you know?
Yeah. And so like you said, like 5-minute blocks. So is it like a lot? Like you said earlier, you have like built out 5-minute blocks.
Yeah.
Kind of, and you can interconnect those two.
Yeah, it's like I'll you know, try to write like a new 5, try it at open mic, kind of cut out what didn't work, save what worked, combine it with maybe 2 other new jokes, kind of fit something else in, take out something that, okay, that one was solid, I'll take that out, I'll try this one, you know, and then when it comes to an actual show, then I'm going to do the ones that I know that work. It's
the greatest hits.
Yeah, sometimes I have taken a risk and tried a new joke at a show and so far so good, but that's not advised.
Risky.
Yeah, it's very, very risky to do because you just never know. Like,
not advised. Warning, warning. Try at your own risk.
Yeah.
You know, it blew my mind when I like realized, because I was just thinking about it, like if you're like a popular comedian, you're not getting a chance to really, unless you were going to open mics, you're trying out new material at shows people paid to see.
Yeah.
Which just blows my mind.
Yeah.
You know, because that's just so scary. That's so much scarier than going to open mics where nobody really cares and it's not really high stakes and nothing really matters. That's not the same thing as like, hey, I'm trying out a new 20 minutes in front of all these people who just paid to see me and they think I'm gonna be funny. Oof. Where I just might completely bomb.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna, that's what they paid to see. That's what they showed up to see, is me bombing.
I think it could work to like that advantage though too, because if, you know, a famous comedian, they're paying to see you, they're likely gonna find what you have to say funny already because they're there to laugh with
That's
you,
true.
at you. And it is easier like once a crowd or like kind of knows you more, like to get away with more jokes. Yeah, to get away with a little bit more, because I have jokes, like I said, that are very out of the box that sometimes just don't land because people are just like, what? Like, you know, and then I'm just like, if you knew me, you know, that's just my humor. Like, you know, that's funny to me. But sometimes, you know, I feel like that would work well. I would be excited if I got to a point that crowds were coming to see me because I feel like I could play with a little bit more, like try to get away with more. Like,
yeah.
Like I had a joke when I was single, just saying that like I'm such a catch and I can't believe that I'm single. And I listed like good traits about me, and I think like the third one that I landed on was that I don't wipe. Like, or like I never wipe, and like I just leave it. You know, like I just like really confidently sold it. Like that's such a good thing about me. Like, and I'm confused. Like, so I like, you know, stuff like that. Just leave them wondering. And
they got good responses.
Oh yeah. But sometimes it, you know, I had like one where I said that and people were just like, It's just like, if you knew that I'm just joking, that's funny. I'm trying to, but then I also go, I don't care if you walk away thinking that that's true. I've got a joke, because this is a true story that I won't get into, but I've unfortunately had a cousin of mine try to like hit on me and like wanted to be with me at one point in my life. And it was very strange. So obviously I turned it into a joke. But my joke about it is that I'm offended because it was a really messed up situation. He like told me all the family members that he was into and then landed on me and was like, yeah, I know. And so my joke is that I'm offended that he hit on me by like telling me about all my competition. And like, if he had come about it the right way, maybe, because I'm just really jealous. Like, but I think that's funny because I don't, I'm like, I know that some people will walk away being like, she into her cousin, but I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. Think whatever. That's funny to me. I know what the joke is and I know it's funny. Yeah. But, I'll use whatever, like I said, whatever that I'm kind of going through and just put it out on stage, process it, make it funny, and move on.
Yeah. And I'm sure there is like an actual therapeutic nature to such a thing.
For sure.
I'm sure there is. I mean, I feel like that about writing anything in general. Like, I think by translating your ideas into something that makes sense, there's just something therapeutic that happens. And then by retelling it on a stage, and I think it's almost like you're transforming it, really.
Yeah.
Like you're taking whatever it was and you're transforming it into this new thing that's better than whatever that thing was before.
Yeah, I think, for me, it's like just kind of taking over how I'm going to control how I'm going to process it and emotionalize it, and rather than have it run me, especially, like I said, with relationship stuff, it's, I think comedy helps me so much. Rather than sit alone with my thoughts and feel bad or feel whatever, I can go out there and say something and then get reactions. Go, yeah, that is kind of fucking crazy, right? That is crazy that that was done or said, and it helps me kind of like, okay, yeah, not that big of a deal, like whatever. Rather than internalize it, which I think anyone can do, but that's
you can do it with anything. Yeah. And again, like that's why just putting it down, like just putting it somewhere and giving it a place to be. It could literally be having a journal. Like if you're somebody who's not creative at all and you're none of that, you could just have a journal you write in.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I mean, like, I was doing it for a minute. I've been slacking, but I think like anybody who writes anything at all, like if you wrote essays, like serious essays about things, that's probably really good for you.
Yeah.
Like outside of trying to write in this format, like write in a completely normal format. Because, even just like the idea of writing a book, like for most humans, that is so daunting.
Yeah.
But if you could write an essay, at least you could write like 3 pages.
Yeah.
That's like how you get started.
Yeah.
Could you imagine writing an autobiography? I mean, you're probably halfway there with your stand-up set.
Maybe, yeah.
You actually might be able to do it.
I don't think anyone would buy the book, but this book made me sad.
A lot of comedians, now that you think about it, they have done that. They have done like autobiographies. I think I have like I want to say Amy Poehler. I think I have her book
Amy
around here.
I've got that audio. I got her audiobook. I like the comedians. I love like Pete Holmes. I just got his book for Christmas.
Oh, I didn't know he wrote a book.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Is it the same thing, an autobiography?
Yeah, and I actually already had that too, so I've listened to it, but I'm like, I'll take the physical copy. It's called Comedy Sex God. It's just like his like going through his life, and I freaking love him so much. That is my number one, is Pete Holmes.
Really?
Because of his religious upbringing, I really feel a sense of similarity to like who he is and his like struggles that he went through in his like later 20s and kind of redefining his spirituality.
What was that? I don't even know. Like, what was the story of Pete Holmes?
So he was raised Christian, like very devout Christian, and got married at 22, and then his wife cheated on him. Like he started pursuing comedy while married. And he says like, he's like, I don't think I was like the most attentive husband, but she ended up having an affair, and he got divorced at 28 and then moved out to like Chicago, I think, after that, and then really hit the ground running with comedy. That's when he became big. But he, through that process, like lost his faith, went through like atheism, and now he's like a real spiritual guy. I don't really know exactly how he defines himself, but I find his views and his takes so interesting. And again, because I can relate to that, like I don't really know what I define myself, but I grew up as a Christian kid totally, and in that environment. So it's something that's still important to me, but I don't necessarily obviously abide by what the Bible says. So,
right. I mean, I think like often what happens is if you grow up in that environment, you learn to question it just like anyone would, especially nowadays more than ever. Like I think with access to information, it's a lot harder to like raise kids religiously. I can only imagine.
I'm like terrified to like bring kids into this world one day, because it's just social media, I think, has destroyed the world.
Oh,
think
yeah.
It's ruined everything.
It sucks because that's such like at this point, I think everyone just agrees, so it becomes a boring thing to say. But it's like it destroyed the world.
Yeah.
Like the whole world.
If I didn't have to have social media for like comedy purposes, I don't think I would have it.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, like if I were successful enough to where I could just give people like photos of me and I would just set up this camera and go and I would send them everything. I wouldn't even touch the social media. I'd let them post it all for me.
Yeah.
And I would just have my friends be my friends.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have to interact with all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just like, it's the access to it that makes me bad. It's the fact that I can touch it and the fact that I'm close enough to it. I'll catch myself scrolling on social media and I'll be like, oh my God. Like if I didn't have this thing on me and I had no choice, there's no way I would do it. It's like, if you're on the subway, I always think about this when I'm on the train because it's like, everybody's on their phone. And it just makes me think, like, if nobody had the phone, like, if there wasn't a choice, then nobody would be doing this.
Exactly.
And we'd all be, like, looking at each other and it'd be normal. But we just have the choice. And, of course, you're going to choose the phone.
Yeah.
And so it's so dangerous. It's, like, the most dangerous thing ever, but it's too late. And so there's nothing we can possibly do. It's, like, it's just an impossible situation.
It's like experiencing boredom now. It's like, oh, my God, I'm bored. Like, no, that's a feeling that we sometimes feel, and it's okay. Like, social media is so bad.
Well, I think, like, a big part of the problem is like, okay, so say like I started reading books for real, like within the last like 2 years. And I didn't even realize before that, like, oh, books are like it's like a streamline of information. Like when you're on your phone and you see an article or when you just see things when you're scrolling, that stuff just flies right past your brain because you saw like 7 million things. You can't remember all those things. Whereas like if you read a book, you'll actually retain a lot of that information.
It's one subject, you're going through it.
Yeah. And it's like, of course that's true. But unless you read a book, you're never going to feel that and understand what that is. And like, it just makes me think like if you just scroll all the time, it's just that constant context switching is what fucks all our brains up.
Yes.
Because that's why it's so hard to be bored because you're constantly needing like new context for everything.
Yeah.
And like, it makes you constantly care about everything all at once. And it's like, that's not what you're supposed to be doing, though.
Honestly, I freaking, like, my choice to watch anything, it's always YouTube. Like, I'm always doing YouTube videos, but I think because of that, I rarely want to watch a movie because I'm like, an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Like, I can't switch.
I'm the same way, YouTube, and I love movies.
Yeah.
Like, I love movies, but I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's like how, and then now when I watch movies, I usually don't watch the whole movie all at once.
Yeah.
I'll watch, like, 20 or 30 minutes and I'll be like, all right, I'll finish this later.
Yeah.
Which is not how you're supposed to watch a movie.
Yeah. But it's to myself.
We're all a victim of it's like you can't even get away from it. It's just the way it is. You'd have to like, that's why people like buy these phones now that can't do things normal phones do. Just to make it so they don't have the choice and they're away from it and it's not in front of it. It's like we're all drug addicts and we have to hide the drugs in the cupboard.
Yeah, honestly, it is. It's addiction, totally.
It's so crazy because it's so socially acceptable. You know, like when I remember my mom, she gave me like a Nokia phone when I was in like 8th grade. And I had like, I had a tablet, which was like this gigantic tablet rather than like a small phone. And that was the first like smart device I had. And then after that, I had a smartphone. And maybe I had like an iPod before that. But I had gradually went into it where it's like now it's kids that are like 3 that have cell phones. Where like my mom was like one of the last people, she was like holding on. She's like, you don't need a smartphone. I'm like, Mom, my friends have smartphones. She's like, no, you don't need one. And then I finally, like, I just had the tablet, and then I finally had a phone probably in, like, 10th grade. It just boggles my mind to think, like, because I just have to imagine childhood is so different.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
So different.
Especially with social media, because the bullying, like, doesn't end at school anymore. It continues on to social media.
Yeah.
My fiance works at a middle school, and the things that I hear is just, like, horrific. What they do, like, set up like snap groups where they like add everyone from the school and then they like talk shit about one person or say something or like send photos or like just it's crazy. I'm like, I couldn't imagine being in school today as a kid because I was, you know, like again, you can't escape it. You can't ever escape it.
Yeah. Like it follows you everywhere. Yeah. Like and that's so weird to think about because they're in 3rd and 4th and 5th grade.
Yes.
That's the crazy part.
Like
I can understand that if you're in high school.
Yeah, those send like the most sexual shit to each other. I'm like, you guys are like freaking 10 years old. Like,
yeah.
It's
scary.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like in many ways, it's good. Like, that's the thing. That's the problem about it, too, is like, of course, with all of that being said, it's still great that you have all this access to everything. That's probably the best time in human history if you're someone who wants to learn a thing. It's right there and you can find it. Or if like you're a comedian or if you're a podcaster, you have access to all the resources that you need to show people what you do in like more people than you ever could have if you were just alone by yourself and you didn't have the internet. That is true.
We've got so much access, but yet everyone has gotten dumber while we've all had these devices. No one's used that. Like, we literally have everything we could want to know in our hands, and we're like, no. Like, you know.
It's crazy. Yeah. And I think, like, a lot of what happens is people outsource their brain to the thing. Like, you know, everybody's like that with directions. Like, I really, really think that if it continues the way it already is, within, like, 10 generations, we're going to be so navigationally just fucked.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've been using Google Maps for long enough now.
Yeah.
To where my mom will be driving a mile away and she'll put it on Google Maps. I'm like, Mom, you don't need to do that. You're taking 2 turns.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. We should know where we're going right now. And I'll catch myself do it sometimes. Or I'll memorize the stops and then I'll have to look again. It's like you have to force yourself to relearn how to navigate. Like, it's that bad. Because everybody uses their phone to navigate.
Totally.
Like, who the fuck busts out the atlas anymore?
No one. Or a map. Or, I remember taking road trips as a kid with my parents, and they have a huge map in the front seat and mapping out. Yeah, no more.
And, like, in a way, that's great. But, like, in another way, it's awful because no one knows where they're going.
Yeah.
That part of your brain is gone.
I parked literally around the corner, and I'm like, I hope I remember how to get back to my car. Like,
it's crazy. So, I mean, I don't even know. That's why I always think, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. You can't get rid of phones. You can't change it. You can't regulate it even. I mean, like, there's nothing you can do. We're all just addicts at this point.
Yeah.
You just have to, like... I feel like, you know, I like to think that the simulation like kind of flipped around like 2012 and then everything like they say like the world ended in 2012. I like to think that that's probably true. Like the world ended in 2012, the simulation like flipped over. There's this guy named I'm not gonna remember his name right now. Stephen McKenna or Terrence McKenna.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and before he passed away, he said like he had this idea of novelty theory, and he said it lines up with the Mayan calendar, and he like came up to it on his own, and then he realized it lined up with the Mayan calendar, but he thought that humanity was gonna get too complicated for itself. And then it would like become the opposite of humanity because it would cave in on itself kind of. We would become like too human for humanity. And that was like in the 60s he said that. And he said it would happen in 2012.
Sounds like it's what's happening.
That's what I'm saying. I think like the phones, all of it, it all just flips over right there. Because like we're just getting farther and farther away.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It makes me sad because even with the music I make, I feel like if I had just been in the 90s, I could have been somebody.
I know, yeah.
But like, and it would have been a whole different world. It would have been nice, like pre 9/11 America. That sounds so great. Like, if I could have just been there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the world is just, bro. The world is like somebody who's sick, but they won't say they're sick, and they've been sick for a long time.
And they're just gonna keep getting worse.
Bro, you should see a doctor, dude. And they just never see the doctor.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
He's got a giant mole on his back that is definitely cancer.
Yeah, definitely growing, dude.
Dude, you're like, your neck can't twist the same way anymore. Like, you should probably go. That's like the entire Earth right now.
Pretty much, yeah. I would agree with that.
It's just fun. And like with comedy, I think the ultimate thing with comedy that it teaches you is like, if you have things in life that either are good or bad, if you can just find the joy in them and just laugh at them, that's all we can ever really do.
Yeah.
If you think the world's falling apart, all you can really do is laugh at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all you can do. Really make some light within that, you know, because it's not going to stop falling apart just because you don't want it to.
Yeah. The world is scary, and I think just more is getting uncovered of just how truly scary it is out there, especially with Hollywood and the government. It's insane, everything that's going on coming to light.
It just keeps happening.
Yeah.
Like, I was not surprised about P. Diddy.
No. I knew about that. I've been saying for years, I'm like, he totally is the one who killed Biggie. He's totally responsible.
Oh, right. With Tupac, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Because with someone like the thing with Diddy and the thing with like Harvey Weinstein is like, it just makes you think like when these things happen, it's not like it's like some random guy that got caught. It's like that's one guy that you know about. There's a bunch of these people all over the place. It's just that's the guy that got caught, and now all those other people are like,
yeah.
That's why they said like that's why there was the free Diddy meme because you need Diddy to stay alive, so that way he can at least say something about the other people who might be involved.
That's how it is. Even like with just like the child sex trafficking and all like the pedophilia. I just watched a documentary that was called An Open Secret, and it's just about like how open it is and nothing is done. It's always like managers and like honestly some of the parents are idiots, and I'm like, why are you letting this stranger just take your kid alone and overnight, like, or just, it's like, yeah, honey, hope you do successful, hope you, achieve your dreams.
That's exactly what it is, though. It's like, it's just the exact type of parent who would put themselves in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably how so many of these kids' stars end up like that, I feel like it's almost like the system of things. Like, you have parents who really, like, they probably weren't fulfilled and they didn't have the level of attention or success they wanted. So they're probably living vicariously through the child.
Yeah.
And then they like, oh, you're going to be a star. You're going to be a star. I'm sure that's how like a lot of the dance moms probably are too.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen clips and they seem psychotic.
Because they're not super satisfied with their lives, but their kid's going to be a star.
Yes.
And so I'm sure that's so much of it, Yeah, get in that guy's van. What could he possibly do?
Yes.
He's telling us you're going to be in a movie.
Yeah. Oh, I trust him. Yeah, go ahead and go alone to.
He just gave me $100.
Yes. Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, it's again, look at the comedy in it. It's funny that those people get into those situations. Like, you'd think if you were the regular person and the guy's saying like, I'm gonna make you a star, you'd be a little skeptical. You'd be like, okay, like show me like one person you've made a star before, But that's the problem too. Is that's the other part of the system that's crazy. I feel like these people do make people stars, and that's the problem. Like Harvey Weinstein, he was successful. I think it's like the predators get in those positions and then they just rule for years. And then it's like you said, open secret. That's the craziest part.
Secret, yeah.
There were like, there's clips you can still find. Of course you can, because it's the internet. It exists. Where like there were award shows where people would joke about, oh, Harvey Weinstein, he's creepy, huh?
Yeah.
And like that was the open secret. That was the part of the joke everybody could say, is that he's creepy. They couldn't say, oh, maybe you shouldn't talk to that guy.
There's so many jokes about it beforehand.
Yeah.
But I heard a theory that I'm like, would match up, that the time that this documentary came out, that The Open Secret, which reveals so much that I'm like, how is this not bigger? It right around that time that it came out, the Me Too movement happened. So people are saying they pushed the spotlight on that to get it away from what's really happening with these kids. And everyone was, supporting the women, the Me Too, and that became like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to fix this. But then everyone turned a blind eye to what was trying to be told. So I'm like, I could totally see that. Like,
yeah.
I think there's just people that like run everything, and they kind of make decisions on what's going to be popular, what's going to not be popular, what's going to be. I really feel like we are just sheep, and we're just kind of steered into directions.
Again, social media.
Yeah.
That would allow for that.
For sure.
That's what's so crazy. Is like, if you were, and I'm pretty sure the government is like closely tied with the invention of the internet. So if you were a government and you were like trying to think, how could we get these people to think whatever we want them to think?
Yeah.
The internet would be the perfect thing.
Totally.
You'd be like, we'll just get them to all use the same exact source of information. And then like the thing is now with social media, it's like, you could say one thing is right or wrong on a certain social media, and you could say the opposite is right or wrong on another social media. That doesn't mean either thing is right or wrong. But I think based on the way that people think, just in general, like as a survival mechanism, you're going to think, I need to know what's good and what's bad. I need to know what's right and what's wrong. And so you learn to define people in that way and ideas in that way. But then you have like this narrative told to you where like those are the bad guys, they're wrong. And not only that, they want to kill you and they want everyone you know to die. That's basically what the news is going to tell you. They're going to tell you whatever the people who don't think like you think, they want you to die and they hate you. It's like probably the worst thing you could tell somebody, but that's like the general thing like we're all told all the time.
Yeah, and some people really just don't think for themselves. Like there's people that just will be spoon-fed anything. Like I feel like the people that love Kiss FM have no taste or personality. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, sure, this is popular, I love this. Like, like.
But my point is, I think that's actually like the more normal average person is probably that person.
It is.
I can't even blame them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, who has time to think about all this stuff? That's why not everyone's a comedian or a musician or an artist. Like, you get a day job and you just live your life and you're fulfilled. You have a kid, you have a family.
You just do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, of course you're not reading articles. Of course you're just scrolling and seeing, oh, okay, this is what's happening. And then you get about your life. You're probably happier than me.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I think too. I'm like, you're blissfully unaware. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, that's what's so crazy about all of it, is it makes perfect sense if that were the case. Because, like, of course the average person wouldn't even want to question things or want to get to the bottom of things. And so it'd be so easy to sell them a narrative that, and I think like what you said about sheep and like herding sheep, it's just a good way to paint the imagery. Because if you were doing something over here, but I don't want you to talk about what I'm doing over there, I want you to talk about this right now, then all you do is introduce that into the conversation, and then everybody starts talking about that because it's what people are talking about.
Lots of distractions always happening.
Yeah, and it's like, that's politics 101. That's all of politics. It's like, there's actual crazy things that you could talk about, and then there's like whatever the story of the day is, or the story of the week is. And really, if you just focused on those other things all the time, it would probably get better. But instead, we always fall for the stupid trick.
Whatever's happening.
Of this is what just happened. This is the latest thing you have to be mad about.
Yeah.
It's like, that's probably not the only thing. I mean, like, maybe if we just focused on, like, not killing everybody and less war, like, that would probably be a big one. If we just focused on that all the time, we could probably pull something off.
Might be a nice one to focus on. Yeah.
Homeless people not, like, crowding the streets everywhere. Like, I'm pretty sure LA is, like, I haven't been to LA enough, but I'm pretty sure it's, like, to the point where people are, like, afraid for their children.
Yeah.
Like, I can't take my kid places because a homeless guy might eat them.
Yeah, it's bad in certain areas. I went out to Portland, Oregon in the past couple of years, and it's just homeless camps everywhere.
I heard like San Francisco's got really bad too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's not a clear answer, obviously, like, you know, but again, it becomes a divisive issue where you're sold this narrative of like, these people want to just give everybody a house and they want to just make everything, want to take all the homeless people away and they're the bad guys. And then these other people just want these people to rot in the streets and they don't want to help them at all. And it's like, the truth is it's not either of those things.
Yeah.
It's in a gray area where like they've tried to give homeless people houses and then they don't want to be in the houses. So like that's a big problem.
Yeah.
How do you get that to be fixed? Because they have to follow rules. That's another big, like the homeless people don't want to follow the rules because like if you're living in LA, bro, I can just shower outside. Like, I'm actually living fine out here. I don't need you to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And, like, I have to be home by a curfew. Like, what is this? So that's the type of stuff that goes down when you start to solve the problem.
Yeah.
But if we can't even talk about that because we're so divided on, like, who's the good guy and the bad guy, then you're never going to fix homelessness.
Yeah.
And you could always just get people to argue.
Exactly.
And it's just so stupid.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to be the good country. We're supposed to be, like, the rich one that has the money and we don't have these problems. Bro,
Yeah.
America is crazy, bro. And I think like it makes me so sad because I'd like to think that people are intelligent and they are smart and we can think for ourselves and we don't fall for stupid things like that and we all can detect when things are real and that's like how good things rise to the surface. And like there are like the best comedians and the best artists are the ones that are the best at portraying that reality that we all feel. And there's a universality to that type of stuff. So it makes me believe in it. It makes me believe in humanity. But then I just see people fall for the dumbest things.
Yep. No, people are so stupid. I say all the time the Simpsons line, like, everyone's an idiot except for me. Like,
yeah. And that's the thing I have to remind. I'm probably just as dumb as them. I'm probably just as stupid. I mean, you know, it is something we all experience where like you go back and look at your previous self, however long ago it was, and you always think you're good. And then you look back 5 years later and you're like, bro, I had what haircut? I was doing what?
Facebook memories, man. Always getting it. You're like, oh, that's so cringy. Thank
Snapchat.
God. Yes. Thank God I'm the only one seeing this. Yes.
Problem is with a podcast is like if I do this long enough, I get to see myself 10 years later, like in full long form.
Yep.
It's dangerous. You know?
It's just like a video diary that you have though.
Kind of is.
Kind of go through and
all the
see.
stupid stuff I used to think about.
Yeah. It might be interesting one day.
It is, like, even now, because I started it in, like, 2018, and, like, I've ramped up production, obviously, since then. We're on episode 144 right now. Whoop, whoop.
Hell yeah.
But, Yeah. So it's just like, it's crazy to go back and watch the earlier ones because like at that time I thought it was one thing and then you go back and look at it and you're like, you just realize the contrast. And I think it's like, I always like to ask comedians like how their comedy's changed over the years because it's the same thing. Like it's always a difference. It's always, a lot of people don't want to go back and look at their old material like when they were first on stage because it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I feel like, that being able to see that, like being able to actually feel that embarrassment and know it is knowing you've gotten better.
And to see the progress for sure.
Exactly. That means that you've gotten better because before you couldn't see it. Before you thought that was good enough.
I found my first set from like 10 plus years ago, and man, it is
rough.
I've got so much energy. I'm like, who the hell is this? I'm like doing like bits and like running. I'm like, that is so not what I would do today or anything that I would do.
You're probably just trying your best to like be funny.
Yes,
right? Like,
I just wanted to do what I thought was fun. I did a lot more dirty jokes that are like not me, like just cheaper jokes that would get a laugh.
But that's probably so much of everybody. Like, and there's almost like no shame in it because that's what you're going to be. Like, you're going to be like what you think comedy is supposed to be, or like I'm sure you had influences that did similar things like that, like act out comedy and going all over the place and stuff, because that's what it always kind of is. That's why they say finding your voice. That's the common conversation amongst comedians is finding your comedic voice.
Can we pause here? I have to pee again.
Yes, because I have to pee.
Okay, cool. Take a break.
Oh, that's a shame. The TV's just ruined.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to get a new one. Yeah, it's like the LED. It's just.
How big is it?
I think it's a 50-inch.
50-inch?
Yeah, 50-inch.
Honestly, those are cheaper now.
Yeah.
You remember how much you paid for the TV?
Not too much. I think maybe around $350 or so. They're not. TVs aren't so expensive now.
But sometimes you get like a 50-inch TV. It's like an OLED or whatever those are called.
Yeah.
You still pay like $1,000.
Yeah. No, this one wasn't too bad, and it's only a couple years old. But we were just thinking about upgrading it recently anyway because we thought it was going out, and like the one in our bedroom's nicer. I'm like, we were already considering replacing it. It sucks. It happens. And like, it happens. No use in crying about it. Whatever.
No crying over spilled milk.
Exactly.
What is it? No use in crying over spilled milk. I have to tell myself that because like literally like I'll spill coffee and I'll be like,
yes, yeah.
You can't get mad when something breaks.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the best possible way you could look at it is like you just said, like to look at it as an opportunity to do the new thing.
Yeah.
To get the new TV or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because maybe that TV maybe life is just leading you the right direction.
Exactly. We'll have a bigger TV.
Yeah.
Game on that TV. It'll be nice.
Hell yeah. So, this TV here.
It's nice.
I didn't used to have it next to my computer, and it's so nice to be able to play games on it.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in a minute just because. I think I told you at the beginning here, I start playing Fortnite, it gets bad.
Yeah.
I got to be careful with video games. I'm just like that. I know how I am. It's like and if I fall into that pit, I might just stay there for a while. I sunk a lot of hours into Elden Ring. I don't know if you're familiar with that
I couldn't get into that one.
Whew. Did you ever play any of those games, like the Dark Souls games?
No, like I've played them. I think the first Dark Souls I enjoyed the most, but I don't even think I ever beat it. Like it's just, I don't want to piss myself off. I like to play a game for the story and just kind of go through it.
I never beat any of the Dark Souls games either because I didn't like. I felt like it was too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would recommend Sekiro. That game, it's made by From Software.
Okay.
It's the same exact like type of game, but it's. I think like for the general audience, like if you're somebody who doesn't like those kinds of games, that's the only one of them I've beaten other than Elden Ring.
Okay.
Because it's still very hard, but there's like it's almost like a rhythm game at a certain point. A lot of it is like it's like a ninja game, so a lot of it's in the deflecting, and you can deflect a lot of attacks, and it's just a very good game all around. But it's also very. Some people think it's the hardest one they've ever made. I don't think so because it's the only one I've beaten.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I can easily play that game for way too long. But having a nice big TV to play a game on is freaking awesome. Even this monitor I have over here to the side.
It's a nice monitor too.
Yeah, I got lucky because Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
But it's ultra wide, and
Yeah.
not all games have ultra wide. But when they do,
I bet it's nice. It's got like the curve to it too, and
if you know what like G Sync or V Sync is, it's like with monitors. It'll make it so it's synced with the graphics card, so that way there's like zero delay.
Okay.
Because that's really the big difference with PC compared to a monitor. I think you can play console with a monitor, and it's the same thing where there's less input lag. because
Okay.
the TV is going to have more input lag.
Okay.
Like one pro tip with gaming on a TV, you got to turn all the extra settings off. Like I think you want to turn the sharpening down because what that's going to do is the TV is processing the image. And so the time between your inputs on the controller and when the TV outputs the image, it's like introducing tiny little milliseconds of delay. And say you're like gaming online, that's just going to make that input lag worse.
Yeah.
It's going to make you worse.
Yeah.
But that's why like people will be like really into monitors and they'll only game on monitors. Even with the console, they'll only play with the monitor because and I didn't realize that was so real until I got a gaming monitor.
Yeah.
And it is real.
Okay.
You're like, oh my God, like the moment I move the mouse or like even with a controller, you could use a controller on a monitor and you feel the responsiveness.
Yeah, I've never been a big PC gamer. Like old game, like I just bought this past 2 weeks ago, Roller Coaster Tycoon. Sunk in like 20 hours already.
It's a classic.
I freaking love it. The Sims, those PC games, but I've always been a console gamer, mostly Xbox because I love getting the achievements. Like I'll just say it. So
yeah.
But
do you still get achievements? Like, even on the new games?
Yeah. I just passed. I'm about to be at 114,000 gamer score. So
wow.
10 years in the making, 11.
It's each game has how many? 1,000, 10,000?
Usually 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah.
And you said you have what?
114,000.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I don't 100% all of them, but I love getting the achievements. That it's like when I play other, like I've got a Switch, I've got a PS4. I don't have any like the new systems yet, but it's just not the same to me.
Yeah.
You know, but I like playing pretty much anything. You know, I've always been a big gamer my entire life.
Yeah, and there's so many different kinds of games. Like there's puzzle games, there's horror games, there's adventure games, there's like first person shooter games. There's a million types of games you could play.
PC has so much of a better library, I will say that. Like I would love to PC game because there's so many weird, interesting like indie games that are on Steam or just whatever that you can try. I'll watch like gameplay, but I love like different weird simulation games. I love horror games, like really cool scary games and stuff. And
I think that's where like Five Nights at Freddy's all came from. Was just random PC, like a big PC cult following.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, it's probably the indie developer wouldn't really develop for a console unless they could afford to. That's probably they're not going to do it. And so you don't see most of those games reach console. And like if you know where to look, you can find so many good ones. I remember on YouTube, I haven't seen it in a while, but I bet if I looked, I'd find one that was just uploaded, like best indie games of because there's got to be like best indie games of 2025.
Yeah,
and that has to be a thing. And just with the PC in general, like the processing capability, like a lot of games, you can do things on a PC you can't really do on console yet. Like a lot of ray tracing stuff that's becoming a thing now. You're only going to see that on a PC. So there is stuff like that too. What was Digital Foundry? That's like a great YouTube channel they'll like compare console to PC for like games when they release, and they're really into like the tech side of games, but they're good at explaining it.
Okay.
Or like, and they'll have like games of the year, and they'll list like the best, but the games that were the best like technologically, like the games that really like pushed the console or pushed like the PlayStation or whatever. Like, so they're really good for like finding new stuff, or like even indie developers, I'm sure. Because I never know. Yeah, I never know where to look for like good. Because I don't know what's good. I don't trust anybody. There's this game that my sister keeps recommending to me. You play as a tiny little, it's like a first person game, and you're the size of a bug. It's like a survival game. So like you're like running around a yard and there's ants and stuff and spiders.
Grounded, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I haven't tried that one yet, but I've wanted to.
She's recommended it to me.
Okay, I'll have to give that one a go.
And I'm like, do you want to give me $40?
Yeah.
Do you want me to play it with you? I will.
Yeah.
But she's not going to give me $40.
No, not that type of recommendation. Oh, no, it's not that good.
So Subnautica, she recommends to me a lot. Never really got into that. That's the same thing. It's like a survival type of game, but you're like on an alien planet, and it's all about being underwater, and you collect like there's sea monsters you'll see, and you collect resources.
Yeah.
It's all about like, I think, getting off of the island. Like it's a survival game where, and I think it's random every time. There was a second one called Subnautica Below Zero.
Yeah.
I think so, but yeah, I never really played it.
I tried Subnautica for just a second, but I don't think I got into that. That one's on Game Pass, though. Game Pass will have like a lot of
that's on
games,
console then.
Yeah, that you can just play for free. As long as you've got the subscription, you can download it's like 100 to 200 games or so that are just on there. So they'll do like the Avowed game that just came out. That just came out on Tuesday, and it's already on Game Pass. So I can, not spend the money and play that one. So.
And that's how they take our discs away.
That's how they take our discs away. That's
Right
how they
there.
get you. Yep.
Because the thing is, Game Pass is convenient.
It is, honestly. It is. I can try out like so much and not have to like, again, spend any money on it, which is nice because I haven't bought a video game probably since I left GameStop, like a physical game. Like it's so rare that I will go in and buy something because everything's just on the consoles now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't even know the last time I bought a physical game, I don't even think I can actually think of it. I don't actually know, which is tragic. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know. You know what I actually think I do know? I think it was Battlefield Hardline.
Okay.
I think I got that at a GameStop because my girlfriend's dad at the time said he would buy me a game. And I was like, okay.
All right, sir.
Yeah. I just picked whatever used game looked interesting enough.
Yeah.
That one was the wrong choice, by the way. Battlefield 4 would have been the right choice.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was the one.
That game was kind of lame.
Yeah.
You're like cops and robbers, but not as cool as you'd think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big flop. I think I was still at GameStop for that one when that one came out.
Mm-hmm. That's another one of those where it's like, again, these games used to be really, really good. And then all of a sudden there's this slow decline and this slow thing where we start cutting corners. Like Battlefield 3 was awesome. It was like nothing was really like that with the first person shooters.
Yeah.
And then it became like, it just became more and more and more of like, I think, what was it? Battlefield 1942 was the last one?
I don't remember what the last one is. Yeah. That's one of them. That's like one of the original ones too. Like on the PC was 1942. They
I think it was 2042. That's what it was.
24. Okay.
It was because it was 100 years after the original.
Okay.
2042. Yeah, but the fans were not a fan. The fans were not a fan.
They were not.
I do recall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm afraid of GTA 6.
It's gonna be crazy.
What do you mean?
Like, I think it's going to be just a massive game, just with everything that you can do, the details and stuff. I've been kind of watching some videos. I have a feeling there's going to be so many things that we won't even know we can do that as the game comes out, you're just going to be like blown away.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it, but
I really hope so.
It's taken, 13 years?
Yeah.
Insane.
And there's so much like drama surrounding. So like Red Dead Redemption 2, when that game came out, shortly thereafter, the guy who wrote basically all of the Rockstar games, I think his name's Dan Houser, left the company. And there's 3 founders of Rockstar. It's Dan Houser, one other dude, and then one other dude. And the first dude leaves in like 2016, and he says something about like some legal battle. He claims they kicked him out. They claim he left. And then in 2018, Dan Houser leaves, like maybe 2019. And then there was like, now I think it's just the one original creator remaining. Not to mention all the other random people who have left throughout the years. If you remember, there's been like random moments where it's been like embroiled in controversy. Where it's like you'd have, I think it was Dan Houser. I think it was him. He came out and said like, we worked 70-hour work weeks on Red Dead Redemption 2 because we're so passionate about the game. And then people wrote articles saying that they were making people work 70-hour work weeks and like torturing these developers. And so then like, I think stuff like that made Rockstar get all this bad press. And so then Rockstar fired a bunch of people and like rehired it. So like, I keep all these things in mind when it comes to GTA 6 because it's basically a different Rockstar than it's always been. And also keep in mind, folks, do you remember when GTA, what was it? When they did the remake of San Andreas and GTA 3 and Vice City, I'm forgetting the name of it. But when that came out, everybody thought like, oh my God, this is going to be a remastered version of these 3 games. This is going to be crazy. And then that came out and it was like completely unfinished and it was actually worse than the originals because it was a mobile port turned into a gaming, like a console port. And it was developed not by Rockstar, but by a subsidiary that they paid to do it, which is so below the standards of what Rockstar in maybe 2008 would have done. They never would have done that before. and it's so scary to me.
Yeah.
Because I want GTA 6 to be the best game of all time.
Yeah. Well,
Don't we
freaking
all?
taking so long that it better be.
Yeah. And like the fan base is so like rabid that we already basically know what the map looks like because of like people being able to figure it out through literally only 3 minutes of footage we've seen of the game.
Yes.
I guess there's also the leaks, but that's not much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't think there's any other game that's going to have so much hype, but it scares. I'm afraid that Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be their best game ever. And it's just going to be like all other gaming companies where it just can't stay good forever, even though it seems so good. Part of the problem, too, is GTA Online just destroyed them. It really did because they made too much money for their own good. I mean, like, I think that's kind of why Dan Houser left because there's a video where it's like it was talking about how in Red Dead Redemption 2 there's a storyline. If you play that game,
Yeah.
so you know how there's the guy in like the camp who he's the one that makes the money and he's the reason Arthur gets sick. Like he's like spoiler alert, folks. So he's sending him out to collect money from people and like collect bounties, and he's basically like the guy who's the part of the camp that exists just to make money, and he's kind of just like a evil rich guy. And like as the Arthur character, you have the choice, like, do I be nice to this guy or do I tell him to just get out of the camp? And eventually you can like kick him out. And his name is Strauss, and the guy who owns Take-Two Interactive is named something Strauss. That's his last name. So Dan Houser, the guy who wrote the story, could easily be making an allegory about this guy came in and he's trying to make money and make it so we all just make money, when really that's not what this is about. This is about just making good games. And that's probably what GTA Online was. It was probably Take-Two Interactive telling them, because there was supposed to be story content for GTA 5 and like extra, like if you remember, GTA 4 had Liberty City stories, and
there
was like
no extra, no nothing.
There was nothing, but there was promised, and now it's been revealed that some of the online content was actually the story content reformatted into online content. So like there was this special agent Trevor thing they were gonna do, where it was gonna be Trevor like gets recruited by the FBI to like hunt things down. If you remember, they did jetpacks that they released on GTA Online that was supposed to be part of the story DLC that would eventually come out. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Because that's what people love about those games is the story. No one's like, obviously now there's a huge fan base for GTA Online, but like what people liked it for
was the single
player and the story. And like so much single player, just in general, it's kind of died off. But like it's so mind-boggling because it's literally the prime open world story based game. Like that is what you would look to, and it's just slowly become only online, to where that's where they put all their content. They don't make anything anywhere else. And so I could go on and on about how scared I am about GTA 6. I've warned people. I'm like, don't get your hopes up. I don't know, because everything I just laid out for you, you can look it all up. It's all true. I researched this. I wanted to make a video about it at one point. I was like, this is good stuff, because it scares me. I told you those essays. I was going to write an essay about it. Because it's like, dude, all the evidence is there. If it's a good game, I stand corrected, and I'm so happy. You know? I'm just afraid it's going to be like everything else. It'll be unreleased. It'll come out. And I think like there's even been things they've said where it's like, we might release the game with not the full story, and then we'll just add the story on later. We'll add more story on later.
What?
I swear to God, there's like an article where someone said this. And I was like, no.
I wish that they would make a second Bully game.
Oh, that's
Bully was so good.
Okay. So like with Rocks, that's my favorite game of all time, but outside of Kingdom Hearts 2 is that game.
Oh, so good.
I love that game so much. And I think so many people feel that way, but the problem is, again, GTA Online made so much money. If you look, there's a certain YouTube channel that they kind of became like, they still make Bully 2 content, which is crazy because it's been so long. But like, there's been leaks throughout the years, and there is like concept art that was for Bully 2. It was in the works at one point, and there was stuff there. It was going to be like, I think he was going to be at a university, and so it would be like he went from a college high school, or a high school, what was it, a boarding high school, like a boarding school, to a university. So it would be like the college years after that. It'd be so cool.
Oh, I freaking love that game. I remember I was pretty young, and I was not allowed to play like GTA, but like that was like, okay, I can get away with this. And like the one time my mom walks in the room, the girl says something like, I gotta go see Christy because she just got breast implants or something. My mom was like, what is this game? Play a couple minutes. I want to see. So I just was so nice. I just walked down the hallways and just was like, hey, everyone. Like, you're not doing anything. Like, Mom, it's just a game where you go to school. I was like, now I'm going to go to class. Like,
get breast implants. I remember there was one mission on that game called That Bitch. And I was like, oh my God, a swear word.
Yep.
It really is like the PG version of Grand Theft Auto.
Yes,
where you
totally.
give kids wedgies and you shove their heads in toilets.
Oh, it's such a good game.
When that game came out, it was like a big controversy because it was like, oh my God, like this is going to make people bully people at school.
Mm-hmm.
That's what.
Yeah.
There was some guy who was really popular for saying that. I can't remember who he is now, but he would like go on talk shows and talk about how dangerous games can be. But that game's actually like telling you not to be a bully.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to the game, he's actually like everybody's his friend at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He bullies the big bully in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. The other guy was the bully.
He's the bully. Yeah. Not this guy.
I wish that game were longer. That's the one thing is like you could beat that game relatively quickly.
Yeah.
If you were replaying it, I think it's only like 25 hours, like 20 hours, which isn't
maybe
very
even
long.
less. Yeah, because it's just like the certain groups and then you're good to go basically. Everyone turns against you.
But it's such a good idea.
It's
a high school and it's a bunch of cliques, so you have like the jocks, you have like the nerds. There's so much comedy you could get out of that. Just like the basic premise of it is so funny.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing to do, like a child version of Grand Theft Auto.
Totally.
And it's the same engine as San Andreas too. Like it's the same. It's very similar to San Andreas in the gameplay, which is just so funny. I think there's they've made map mods where it's like you could play GTA 5 at least in like a giant map that includes that. It includes
the schoolyard for bully.
Yeah.
Oh, that's freaking cool.
Because it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
I swear they include it in some like
I'll have
GTA
to
San
look that
Andreas
up. I bet
thing.
someone's got that on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, of course. That's how I know about this. All those like map mods for GTA San Andreas or like GTA 4, GTA 5. Like there's so many of those. But yeah, that game was one of the best games. Like it really is because that's again like with storytelling. Rockstar was just so good at that. Just telling a good story.
Yeah, they
it's
are
not
very good
even
at that.
really about the fact that it's that game, the circumstance of the gameplay. It's like you still care about the character that is Jimmy Hopkins and like he went to this boarding school and this guy betrayed him and all this. Like you want to root for the main character just like you want to root for Nico Bellic or you want to root for Trevor, even though he's a meth head that stomps people's head in.
Yeah.
You like him when you're playing Grand Theft Auto 5. So like there's ways they make you like these people. Like it's just good writing. A lot of it is just good writing. And also one thing that's so genius about the writing of those games is that they incorporate the gameplay into the writing. Like they're always doing that. Every mission, it's always like introducing a new aspect of the gameplay to you.
Yeah.
Every single time they'll show you a new part of the map. Like if you pay attention, every single mission is always leading you to different areas of the map. And it opens up the map throughout the game. Red Dead Redemption 2 did a really cool version of that where they have a whole part of the map closed off for most of the game. And then once you beat the game, you can go to this new area that you couldn't go to for the rest of the game. And the area's the entire map from the first game.
Yeah.
So it's like stuff like that where they just gradually show
really cool.
it to you.
I never ended up beating the second Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, because it takes 80 hours to beat.
Yeah. So it's a long one for sure.
It's one of the longest games ever.
I got pretty far into it, and then I had the physical copy of it, and my Xbox at the time broke, and it was stuck in there. And then I think that Xbox like just would never power on, so I was like, I can never get it back. I ended up downloading it, and then I just couldn't get in. I didn't remember where I was. I'm like, I don't even remember what I'm doing in the story, so I've tried a couple of times to pick it back up, and I just am lost. So
yeah, it's a long one. To start over would be a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're starting from the middle, I don't know. It's so long. I really think it probably will be Rockstar's magnum opus because it is like such a big, grand story. Nobody thought they could top Red Dead Redemption 1 before it came out.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 1 is
That's a great one.
And it's also just great as a Western. Like if you're like somebody who likes like the story of like a Western and a cowboy, like it works on its own. You could probably show it I think it even is on YouTube. Like they cut all the cutscenes together into a movie. And you could do that and you could show it to somebody who likes Westerns and they probably like the story of it. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, dude. Those games are awesome. Yeah, dude. Rockstar, I love Rockstar, but it's like it's on shaky ground. It's like the same thing I was like saying with I I don't think I did say it earlier, but like the new Elden Scrolls game or Elder Scrolls. Yeah, I kind of got at it because I mentioned Starfield. Yeah, but that's what it is. Like, I don't know if we can trust them now because you had Fallout 76 and you had Starfield.
Fallout 76 is not good.
Yeah, we got burnt twice in a row. Yeah. And so now it's like, okay, you guys really have to deliver. And I think what's going to happen is it'll be the same exact engine they've been using for the last 15 years, and they didn't upgrade anything, but they're going to make it seem like they did, and they're going to have an awesome trailer, and it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
And then the game's going to come out, and it'll be the same exact thing again. And
I just want the next Elder Scrolls. I'm like, come on.
It's been so long now.
So long. 11/11/11, that one came out.
Wow.
Yep. Can't forget that date.
That was Skyrim?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so long ago. 11/11/11.
Yeah.
Wow. Angel numbers.
It's my favorite number is number 11, so that's why I remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I think I just decided as a kid that I liked number 11, and I've really been dedicated to that number since. So
11's a good number.
It is a good number.
I don't know what my favorite number is. Let me think about it. If I had to pick 8.
Eight?
8.
Why
Off the top of my head. Turn it sideways, it's infinity.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Turn it another way, it's another 8.
Yeah. Or it's
cool
an hourglass. You know, it's got an hourglass figure. 8's kind of like you could turn it into eyeballs if you turn it sideways. You can make it 2 eyeballs that are connected. You put just 2 dots in the middle.
That's true.
It could be boobies.
Could be boobs. I like that one.
I mean, 8 can be all kinds of things. I'm proud of that answer. That's a pretty good answer.
I'm kind of turned on by the number 8 right now. Is anyone else feeling that?
Oh my God. Something has awoken within me as we keep speaking about this number.
I'm going to go do some math. I'll be right back.
Someone asked me, it was Owen Monahan, as we speak, that episode just came out. He asked me, somehow it came up in conversation, what would you name like your pizza place? If you were to have a pizza place, what would you name it? And my answer was Pie Squared. And I am so proud of that.
Pie Squared, okay.
Because it would be pie, like pizza pie, but like shaped like a square.
I love it.
And that's how we would sell it every time. And it's like a math joke, like Pie Squared.
I like it.
Yeah.
And what's the specialty pizza?
Good question. Specialty pizza would probably be like, so with the sauce on top, we would like put the shape of the symbol for pie.
Okay.
So it would be like, we would always put that on top. And maybe we would like do it with pepperoni or ingredients or something. Okay. Like put that on top. And then, what else could be like cool and mathy? Maybe like it's a square, but we make a second pie that's like another square, and we put it up to the top to the upper right, and it's just a tiny one. So like when you square a number, there's like the other number to the upper right. That would be the specialty.
Okay, I like that.
You get the big pie and then the baby pie to the upper right.
There you go. I like it. Do a little calzone in the shape of like a 2 or something.
Exactly. A calzone in the shape of a 2. That's perfect. Yes. So there you go. I think this has a lot. And by the way, if someone wants to steal this idea and just do it,
don't you fucking dare.
Don't you dare. I will sue. I have on record me coming up with this. I'm going to be mad. Okay? I'll take that personal. My ideas are my own. For real, though, I've probably come up with some wild ideas. I think that's probably, improv teaches you that. Stand-up teaches you that. I think really it's life is a freestyle. You should just be able to come up with something stupid on the spot.
Yeah.
You should. If someone asks you a question, you should just be able to yes and come up with something. If not, like, what are you doing? You know? I'm bad at picking favorites. That's where I fuck up. If someone asks me, what's your favorite X, Y, or Z, I just can never pick a very specific favorite. I'm good at like the creative writing questions, like the ones we just did.
You like the yes and question where it's open. You don't like a solid closed door.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Because I feel like I'm telling you that everything else is bad and this is the good one. I don't know.
You're not
I have
trying
like
down everything
some
else.
that I like. Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite.
Yeah.
Like, can you, like, if I asked you what's your favorite comedian, would you be able to pick a very favorite?
Probably Pete Holmes.
Ah, the very, very favorite.
Yeah,
yes.
That's just like my heart goes to, but not his stand-up. Like if it was like based off stand-up, that'd be hard because that's kind of ever-changing and there's different styles that I like and different reasons that I like them. So
exactly.
That, it's like hard to pick. But if I had to go into my head, which is probably could happen right now.
It could happen.
Yeah, you never know. So
you never know. And like, again, I think like, improv kind of teaches you that. I think that's kind of what improv is all about. It's like if we are in this moment and these are the rules. How can you respond that is appropriate to everything else we've contextualized so far? That's basically all of life.
Yeah.
That's basically what you're doing all the time, always. But it's you get to play it within a small game form of it. And I think it's almost like working out that muscle. And I think like with comedy, it's so beneficial because there's a million times that'll happen at a show, or that's kind of like what crowd work becomes, is like playing off of the moment and like whatever is presented to you immediately right there, right then. And if you don't have that skill, it's way harder. I think like one thing that open mics and like shows will teach you too is like, because it's always different and the room is always different, people are always different, not everything will always work all the time. And like you have to play with what's happening there, which is like, it can't even be taught. You just have to do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, even music, like even if you have the song and you know how the song goes, you still have to feel out what type of performance this room's going to need. Like they might not need me to be going all out and doing all this. They might just need like a totally like laid back thing.
Yeah, have you ever like switched songs? Like, okay, I'm not even gonna do this song. Like in the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. Like being in that room and being like, oh, that's not what we need right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But exactly, it's the same thing. It's like if you were standing there and you're watching everybody else do their set and you're like, oh, this isn't gonna work in here.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm not even gonna try this joke. Yeah.
I was about to do 5 minutes of new jokes. And I'm not having it right now. Yeah. Exactly. Like might as well go back to Old Familiar.
Yeah.
That exact thing will happen with music too. Where it's like I was gonna try something different. Let's just maybe just do the safe choice right now. Just to see how that goes.
I've had times where it's like I go through the joke anyway, and as I'm like saying it the whole time in my head, I'm like, why am I even saying this? You should not be here. Like I'm just still like saying the joke anyway. You can just see people's faces like, yeah. I'm like, okay, sorry about that one, folks. Like we'll move on.
Right. But it's like learning to roll with those punches. Because like sometimes you can turn a bad situation into a good one even. Sometimes it can be all going bad and you can even learn to flip it. And like I've seen that happen where people trying to just they have moves that they'll do where it's like, you know, I think if you acknowledge it too much, it can be bad. But if you know how to like kind of turn the negative into a positive, it can be good. Like a lot of the time you'll see people just make the mistake of like over pointing out how bad they're doing. And then they just spiral.
Yes.
Where it's like you could just kind of like, all right, like, ha ha ha, you guys didn't laugh at that one, but you know, whatever. Those like maybe even make the joke on you, like, oh, that joke was stupid.
Yeah.
Like there's a million things you can do. There's solutions.
I see it all the time. Comedians will turn on the audience or like get pissed if they don't find them funny, but that's one of the golden rules. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, if they're just like, all right, you guys hated that one, it usually gets a laugh, breaks the tension, like, or just kind of addressing whatever. You know, I've even said that, like, all right, we're try out this next one, you know, just kind of address it. But some people, they'll just get like mad and like turn on the crowd, or just then they'll say the next joke, it doesn't do as well as they think, and then they're mad at the crowd more, and then they keep like insulting the crowd. And I'm like, I've seen that where it's like the host is doing that because they're not doing good. I'm like, you're setting up the show and you're literally already turning against these people. Now you're set it up for failure for everyone else who has to come back from that and try. And there was a show that I was involved with where the host set up that way. She didn't like the crowd, was kind of insulting them. The next guy came up, wasn't doing great, so he went even harder on them. Like everyone was just like coming at them like this was a terrible show. Yeah. And, like it was like
nightmare.
Yeah, I think I was not involved with that one. I was just there to watch, thankfully. But I'm like, I would have hated this crowd. I would have been so upset, being like, okay, here we go.
The crowd just goes home with existential issues.
Yeah, straight up.
Because it's hard to even flip that. Like, say you're really all you could do, if you're the one comedian going up who's like trying to make it better, you could maybe like acknowledge that, be like, man, those guys, huh? Yeah. You have to make fun of them. Yeah. That's really the only way you could possibly get them on your side, is separate yourself from that.
Totally. Yeah.
Like, by the way, guys, I'm your friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about those two. Yeah.
They've had a lot to drink tonight.
Yeah.
Just whatever you want to say. But you know what? Like, again, like that's what comedy's good for, because at least you're acknowledging it. And I think like it would show those other people like, oh, okay, maybe I do need to back off a little bit. Yeah. Like, a lot of it is like a lot of those roasts, even like when you're roasting somebody, a lot of the time there's the grain of truth in there that at least you can take away. Yeah. There is like a little fun thing that you can take away sometimes. You know, someone calls you stupid enough times, maybe they're right just a little.
Yeah, maybe you're a little stupid.
You're a little stupid. And maybe we all are. Maybe we all are,
not
folks.
Me. Certainly not me.
Me, I'll put myself in stupid camp. I'll say that I am the king of stupid camp. I'll lead us to war.
Oh yeah, I saw your picture, I think, at camp.
Yep.
When I was there last summer.
Yep, employee of the month.
That's the king.
Yeah, oh my God. I know. I was a little took aback at first, but it's cool, you know. Being the king, it has a lot of consequences, but there's a lot of good parts, you know. I'm really looking forward to like having children and having like little princes and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Take on the name, exactly.
I hope that's how this works. I don't really know how stupid camp works. I don't know if they've got it figured out. Like there might not be a system at stupid camp.
Probably not.
That's what I'm kind of worried about. They made me king. I don't even think it's a monarchy.
Yeah. Got a couple kings, I think.
We have a couple kings, like a couple presidents, like a priest or two. Like, I don't know how this place is supposed to go. So there's no leadership to talk to in stupid camp. I am the leadership.
But it's great prices. So.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool if you were just like in a camp full of idiots and they anointed you as the smartest one? Like, you know that we're all dumb, but they called you this. That's probably how everybody successful feels in life.
Yeah, it's called Vacation Bible School.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good, yeah, it'd be just like that. Like Vacation Bible School.
I had many a summers in Vacation Bible School, Awanas, all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like that must be a whole experience right there.
Yeah, made some friends growing up, but then it was like, you know, being in a church, there was like those weird kids that like my parents would like force me to hang out with anyway. Like I remember like going to like I was like had to go to this kid's house, and they had like no TV in any of the rooms. Like, oh, we don't believe in TV, and I was like, oh, cool. So what are we gonna do? And they're like, we draw anime, and I was like, oh, cool. It's like, just like those times where I'm like, I don't know if you ever seen Napoleon Dynamite when she's like, you're going to go to the dance with that boy. I did have a lot of those times as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll shape you. That'll mold a character out of you for sure. Yeah. And if you aren't paying enough attention, if you aren't sharp enough, you will become Napoleon Dynamite. Exactly. You'll fall into the trap. You'll become one of them. You'll start drawing anime for the rest of your life.
I think being like growing up in that environment, and then also I've always been a tomboy, being like a gamer, like working at GameStop, I've always been around like the oddballs, and they kind of naturally find me, and vice versa. So being in comedy, it's a bunch of oddballs that it's like you just like, oh, these are my people. I'm just comfortable around you guys. Like, yeah, I'd much rather be in a room of like D&D nerds than, you know, like anything else. Cause I'm like, that's just what I'm comfortable with is the eccentric people and weirdos.
Yeah. I think it keeps you grounded in a way. It keeps you from like taking things too seriously. Yeah. And also like it keeps you thinking creatively when you surround yourself with people who think so in such an unorthodox way. Yeah. I think like you need that as a human being a lot of the time, or else you fall into the pattern of trying to be too structured within things. And like, you know, there is a certain amount of like freestyling and improv you need in life. Mm-hmm. And like if you're somebody who's truly creative or truly odd or different, you're gonna do that naturally.
Totally.
And so like I don't know if it's me or them, but I find myself with those same people.
Yeah. I love those type of people. That's I am one. So
they're the most entertaining. Yeah. I mean, like, I'd rather be around someone who's going to say something completely off the wall crazy than somebody who's going to say exactly what I know they might say. Yeah. You know, I find people to be the most entertaining thing in the world. You know, there's some people who are just such a character. Like, they might just be the most random person. Like, it's not like they have this big following. It's not like anything. It's like you meet them on the street and he's like, they're wearing a cape and they'll tell you about how they got the cape at fucking, Spirit Halloween, and it's their cape. They wear it around every year. They're a superhero. They save people. Like, this is something that could happen to you. Like, you'll be like a person with a whole story, and that person exists right now doing whatever they're doing with their cape on.
They're probably at a Chicago mic later tonight.
Exactly. And I love those guys. I will spend an unreasonable amount of time asking them questions and talking to them. I'll be like, what inspired you to become a superhero? Yeah. That's what I would ask them. And they'd have a great answer. Yeah. Like, that's the thing is, like, if you try to get to the bottom of these people, you ask them questions, it only just gets deeper and deeper. They didn't just wake up weird. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a reason they're this way.
Story, yes.
And like, that's what's so fun about it to me. It's just the infinite depth of those people. You know, I think people are quick to write it off as like just weird or crazy or different. You know, it's like Truly, that's like what all of life is about, is how we are all so unique and people are so different from one another, and how that weird guy becomes that weird guy, you know? Like, even the circumstances you're in, you get so used to it. Just that be the person that is the stand-up comedian that goes to shows and actually goes on stage and tries to make people laugh is such a peculiar thing to chase, you know? And like, it's so aligned with you and what you do and what your experiences
stupid. It's
are.
like, everyone's got to hear how funny I am. You guys are like, it's so narcissistic, honestly.
Yeah.
Everyone has to hear my thoughts because I'm so fucking funny. Like, it's the stupidest thing ever, honestly. But it works. You know, people do want to hear it. Like,
yeah, and it's just such a it's crazy how you find that, like, however people end up, and people do want to hear it. I mean, I feel the same way about music. It blows my mind that anybody, even with the podcast, there's somebody who's listening to this podcast right now and they've listened to the last 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. The fact that someone cares enough to listen that long blows my mind.
Yeah, it will be me when this comes out while I'm working.
Yeah.
Hello, myself.
Yeah. This is you from the past. We're time traveling right now.
So let me ask, do we still hate ourselves, or any progress with that?
Yeah. The answer is probably
yes. It's gotten worse, damn it.
Right. You can write yourself in the comments.
Yeah. Comments ripping on myself. Yeah. Boring. Never again. She sucked.
Well, we never told the people who you are. This is, if we're going to wrap up the episode, it's always a great way to do it.
It's been a mystery, yeah.
It's been a mystery.
Build up, yeah.
But that's always fun. I like that. They just read the title, they just listen to you talk for like 3 hours, and then they finally get to like find your social media at the very end. That's kind of fun. It's like, if you've invested this much time into a person, you might as well go follow them.
Please invest more. Yeah. I am Big Al the Comedian. You can follow me on Instagram at Big Al the Comedian. I'm a local stand-up, been featuring in the Chicago and Wisconsin areas for about 2 years now, and loving every second of it. And very, very happy to have been a part of this and be here. It's really cool.
We'll do it again sometime. And you got a final message for the kids at home. They need some inspiration. They need someone to give them wisdom. Now is your chance to teach the people. What would you say?
If I could say one thing, probably that... wiping correctly is not that important. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about how you smell in life in general.
Because it's about who you are. It's not about how you smell.
Yeah. No, if there's any wisdom, I don't know. There's nothing serious that I could say that would be wisdom.
No, I think that was very wise what you just said.
Yeah.
I actually think that was...
Don't talk on the fucking cell phone in a public bathroom while you're going to the bathroom. That's for everyone. Mostly ladies. That's what I like to instill into the world. Don't do it. It's weird.
That's also true.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. You can smell bad, but don't talk on the phone while you're in the, I was going to say in the urinal, but it's, well, I guess urinals too. I don't want to be, urinals are different though. If you're pooping and there's someone next to you who's pooping, you really shouldn't be on your phone. Because if I'm pooping next to you, I'm already self-conscious about that.
Yeah.
I don't need it to be broadcasted to the world.
No one else needs to hear the badunks. It's about to happen.
Exactly. That's for me and me alone. You're just happy to be here. Okay? Yeah. You're not supposed to be a part of this.
You're not welcome to the splash zone. Get out of here.
This is my splash zone. And with that being said, folks, Rules Radio. Clocking out.
Double down, competition couldn't help him to rock. Missed the whole time, holy fell through the flock. That's an ordinary miracle, wealth to the block.